It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro Podcast. Joe Castello here with you. And we're going to be hearing from the winners from the Arby's Southern Nationals out there at Atlanta Dragway. It was a very fun race. Had a great time. Weather interrupted here and there, but the bottom line is we got it done and we got the winner. Steve Torrence going to be on the show, the reigning Top Fuel World Champion, goes back-to-back, becomes the first two-time winner of the 2019 season. We're going to hear from Steve on the show. Also on the show, Ron Capps, the 2016 NHRA Mellow Yellow Funny Car winner. Capps going to be on the show as well, getting his first win of 2019, resurgent after a couple of tough races. And both watch Game of Thrones, by the way. I'm just throwing that in there because in the past couple of weeks, I was speculating that nobody in the drag racing community watched Game of Thrones. But now I find out, no, that is not true. They actually are many passionate fans. Not everybody. It is a thin sliver of the people who watch the show, but watch the show as well. Just want to drop that out there on you. Also, on the show, Andrew Hines, the 100th victory for Harley-Davidson in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Andrew gets that honor, his 51st win of his career. Andrew Hines going to be on the show and working on others. Maybe Mike Castellana. I thought we were going to try to get Killer Mike on the show. Not going to quite work out this week. But the bottom line is we had a whole lot of fun, and you're going to hear the winners. And then during my time, I'll tell you what's up. If you didn't hear the Ignition show, you really should, especially if you're into the whole Kentucky Derby controversy and all the things that happen in the world of motorsports and are happening in the world of motorsports. We've got some great sponsors who make it all possible, like samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today. Next race next week will be Richmond, so we'll have another one of those factory stock podcasts. You should definitely subscribe. Find it on Apple Podcasts. And Bill Skillman was our last guest. Only 6 episodes now. Catch up before the next one and the next race, that is the samtech.edu Factory Stock Showdown. Also, motorsportsguys.com, Terry McMillan. Tough weekend for Terry, but I don't think it's reflective of anything other than the weather, frankly. Motorsportsguys.com. If you need Amalie motor oil, if you need oil filters, if you want to do your next oil change and have it shipped right to your door, not to mention all the other parts, pieces, things that they got like Can-Am air filters, go to motorsportsguys.com. Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, hangstafers.com. Their main goal is to make you more efficient, make your cutting tools last longer, have you be safer and more efficient in the machine shop. And all the top machine shops in the NHRA tend to agree that Hangstafers metalworking lubricants gets the job done. Like Zach Sackman got the job done out there in Columbus. That is pretty cool. Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. Marvin Rodak. Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. Coffee, roasted fresh per your order, shipped to your door. Hot sauces, fantastic. Spice rubs. Summer's coming. You're going to be grilling a lot. Why don't you stock up on a little Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, and you will thank me for it. I have no doubt. That is Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. MagicDryUS.com. The official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, or CatSpotLitter.com. If you got a cat, get CatSpot. If you got a shop, if you got a factory, if you work on an oil rig, MagicDryUS.com is for you. The folks at Hussey Copper, HusseyPerformance.net, check them out as well. Doing a great job on many of the cars out there. Custom copper head gaskets definitely can help you out. And audible.com/WFO Nitro. Start your 30-day free trial, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Frank Hawley's drag racing school and the Dragster Adventure. This is a big one because Frank and Lana have been around with WFO for a long, long time. And, of course, I want you to drive a dragster. That's how you will truly know and understand drag racing. 866-480-7223, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. All right, let's get into it. Joining us now, he called the action out there at the ATL, the Arby Southern Nationals. Alan Reinhart, he is back. Alan, welcome back.
I'm still not talking to you unless you have a sandwich for me.
I brought you a sandwich. Knock it off with the nonsense. I delivered it in the nice box. The box was full. It was not empty. I heard that all exchange. I went downstairs. I picked one out special. I even put the nice Arby sauce right on the top of it because you said you couldn't handle the horsey sauce, and it was just discarded. I know what's going on.
That was like 8 hours after lunchtime when
that's true.
You and Jason were down there, enjoying your lunch.
For the third time? Was that second lunch or fourth lunch?
Exactly. Herein lies the problem.
Yeah, so true, so true. Well, listen, you're right about that. It was a little bit delayed. You did receive your Arby's kind of at the end of the event, but you did receive it. So, we'll work on the timely nature in which you receive it in the future. How about that?
Actions speak louder than words, Castello.
All
you
right.
want to prove something to me, show me.
All right.
I'm not from Missouri, but show me.
No, I got it. Well, assuming there is another Arby's Southern Nationals, we will rectify this problem. I had more Arby's than I have had in the last 10 years of life. And I can tell you, and I'm not just kissing up because they sponsored the event. Hopefully we'll, be on in the future. But I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it. We had fun with it, and the sandwiches were good.
Yeah, the Arby's guys, I think, got kind of an eye-opening experience when we brought out some of the very, very high corporate types and showed them, hey, here's what one of our events is like. Here's, what you can get involved in. Here's what the water you're stuck your toes in. And I think that all went well. Obviously it would be so nice if we could just get 3 good weather days in a row for anything. But it was, overall, I think it was a good event. I think the Arby's people were impressed, and they certainly didn't seem to have trouble giving away free 2-for-1 coupons, did they?
No, they did not. And with an Arby's right out there, and of course Steve Torrence and Angel and Brittany, they were over there working and delivering and working the window. Any type of cross promotion like that, I think, is fun for the fans. And fans were all over there and going inside. And John Force even went over there and went inside with Brittany. Just fun stuff. To me, this event was a whole lot of fun in addition to what happened on the racetrack, which that's always a bonus. Hopefully the fans felt it too.
No, I think so as well. And, it's nice when we can introduce a new company, especially a company the size of Arby's, to the sport and to what we do. And, time will tell if they want to get involved. But I certainly think that our fan base could be convinced to swing by their place for lunch from time to time, so hopefully we can make something out of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while we're on that discussion, I did mention in the Ignition podcast that we were trying to connect with Killer Mike to be on the show. That's not going to end up working out, a bummer. But we had some, celebs or VIP types, however you want to call it, who just kind of came out from the Atlanta area. Killer Mike, who is a rapper, also does some documentaries and has been involved with Outkast over the years and now has his own thing. And then the guys from Ozark, which is a very popular television show. They loved the deal. They stuck around to the winner's circle. And Alan, sometimes celebrity types come out, they see the sport, they go, oh, wow, this is neat. And they like it. And then they disappear second round and they're gone. These guys from Ozark, Mark and Chris, they stayed around till they broke down the winner's circle, which I thought was really cool.
Well, I've said over and over and over again that, there's a reason they make 64 different colors of crayons, because not everybody's going to love everything. But if you've never been to an NHRA national event in person, or if you haven't been to one in 20 years, come out and give us a chance. Come out one day, give us a chance, experience the event in person, and then if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not going to be for everybody. But I think that if we get 100 people to come out, I bet we hook 75 of them, because the in-person experience is just so much further over the top than the television experience. From the, you can feel it. Not just see it, not just sense it, but you can feel it. And when you walk back into the pits and go, holy smokes, that's your world champion right there that's like taking pictures with those kids and signing autographs when he's supposed to be racing in 20 minutes? And the answer is yes. but you just can't get that from television, even from NHRA.TV. You can't get that. You've got to come out in person and see what we really do. And I believe that if you give us that chance, most of the time we'll hook you, especially if you're a car person.
Yes, exactly. If you're a car person, there's no better place in the world than NHRA drag racing. And I firmly believe that, we are preaching to the choir at this moment on NHRA Nitro podcast, the most diehard of fans. But they've all got friends who have kind of touched on the sport a little bit that maybe haven't been out. You've heard it, like you just mentioned, it's been 10 years since I've been out there. People need to come out again because the experience is very different now than it was. And I think it's maybe better than it has ever been. Certainly the variety of machines is better than it has ever been. And the racing is better than it has ever been. So speaking of which, let's get into it, where the final round of Top Fuel, to me, just awesome. The last two world champions facing off, Brittany versus Steve, Steve becoming the first two-time winner.
And, you could almost see that coming throughout the course of the day. They qualified 1 and 2. Not that there weren't other cars that were running well, but those two just kind of seemed destined for each other, almost right from the get-go. And for the two of them to race in the final, and Steve won the race. Congratulations to him. They did a spectacular job. Brittany's car lost traction at the top end of the racetrack, but it was anything but a one-sided race. If you were sitting at the 8th mile mark when they went by, you saw that Brittany was out in front. But, the old story, hey, we don't give away a trophy until you get to the finish line, and Steve's guys did a better job at the top end, got the car down there. But it was a fun way. It was a great way to end the event. I'm a big believer that the last thing you see is going to stick in your mind. And if the last thing you saw was the pro finals, then I don't know how you walk away from that going, okay, that wasn't a very good show, because all of the pro finals were spectacular.
Oh, I agree. They were all spectacular. Other stories that I thought were really great, Jordan Vandergriff, right here, this kid. In fact, Bob Vandergriff Racing all weekend long, Alan, I was saying, this is your home Georgia-based team. This team, your guys, they're based out of Georgia. This is your team. And they both made the semis.
Yeah, and, for Sean Reed, I don't want to say surprise, but, they certainly didn't run very well in qualifying. But I guarantee you they went back and put their heads together Saturday night after it was all over with, or Saturday afternoon while it was raining, and realized what the problem was with the car, and that car kind of came to life on race day. Ended up getting beat by Steve Torrence in the semifinals. But, there was just so much good racing going on from side to side. And Jordan Vandergriff is getting to the point that if I'm at Top Fuel, when qualifying's over, I look at the ladder, and if I have to race Jordan Vandergriff first round or second round, I'm going, oh, man, because it just seems – don't you just pencil him into the semifinals pretty much every time?
Yeah. Ron Douglas, no offense to Jordan, but Ron Douglas, going back to Blake last year with a couple of wins, they find their way to the semis every time they bring the car out for the most part. It's pretty amazing.
It is. And I also think you really got to feel for Clay Millican. Clay Millican made the second best run of Sunday, period. All of Sunday. He made the second best run. And he got beat in the first round because the guy he was racing made the best run anybody made all day Sunday. And, when Antron Brown and Clay Millican, the first two cars down the track, they both go 377, and it's like, man, let's go, bring it on. And the rest of the day was like that. But you've heard me say it so many times, I'm sure you're sick of it, but it's just incredible that Clay Millican would have beaten 14 drivers in the first round if he had raced them. The only driver he couldn't beat in the first round was the guy he raced. It's, right place, right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough for Clay. Good on Antron. Antron goes to the second round, gets beat by Brittany. But, yeah, it is a bizarre situation. Also, tip of the cap to Dom Lagana, getting out of the first round, going to second round. I like to see that car out there more. And but in the end, though, it's Steve Torrence who goes out there, and he said a week ago that he's changed his focus. He's now driving with purpose. He felt a little directionless after the streak of 7 in a row came to an end, and he can't just be out there flipping around. He's got to have something to drive him, and he now does, and he goes out there and wins again. Becomes the first two-time winner.
Yeah, it was 6 in a row, but okay. Come on, Joe. Exactly. What are you sucking up trying to get a free Capco hat or something? We're going to give you one more race.
I've never received a free Capco anything just yet, but I will take it if they
are. Oh, really? I have tons of it. Maybe if you'd have given me a sandwich.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway. No, we're still on that. No, listen. I found – you know what, Alan, since you're on that, we work hard every weekend, and I'm certainly trying to do things that are fun and interesting and get attention of others. Nothing has really been complimented as much as the feeding on the Arby's so far. It's like people loved that bit. So I guess we'll do more.
No, I agree. I think, it was a fun bit. It was funny. And you and Jason certainly made it work. And, me being in the tower whining. The thing that amazes me, and I'm sure you get some of this as well, is how many people seem to take that as, like, wow, I can't believe they wouldn't bring you, nobody would bring you a sandwich. And it's like, guys, it's a joke. Yeah. I mean, I know where the sandwiches are. I know where they get them. I know, but it was all part of the bit. And, it's like the same thing. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. I get probably 2 emails a month, but now since we're like this so far off track, who cares? I get like 2 emails a month that say, wow, I can't believe they gave Brian your TV job. That should have been you.
Ugh.
And I tell them all exactly the same thing. Brian is the better guy for that job. Big picture overall, Brian is in the position that he should be in. I love the job that I have. I'm very happy with where I am. I don't believe in the least that I got slighted on that thing. I'm going to keep the position I have, and I think they put the right guy in that job. And there's no bad blood. There's no hard feelings. There's no anything. Between Brian and I, we share information all the time and do what we can to try to help each other out. So it's just, the perception of sometimes things from outside and maybe, the way we play it up feeds some of that perception. But the whole object of it was supposed to be funny. And I think the vast majority of the people got it. Well,
and that's part of having a well-developed and evolved sense of humor, which I know that you have, and I know that I have, but not everybody has it. And the understanding of sarcasm as humor, come on, guys, get it. And also the fact that most people, I don't want to say most, but many just flat out misinterpret sarcasm or fun, take it serious, and also directly stirring the pot. I'm sure that someone is going to misinterpret what you just said. Alan Reinhart on WFO Radio announces blood feud with Brian Loans, which for my money is also fun and funny. But yeah, there's a lot of people who just, they don't get it. They don't get that we are trying to have fun, and part of the fun is poking fun at one another. And the more that get it and realize, the better time that they'll have. Like, wait a second, this isn't all, serious nuts and bolts. Yes, the serious nuts and bolts are part of it, but there's chemistry that's going on, and we try to make it fun for everybody on NHRA.tv. So if that means, Brian Loans, you're dead to me, that's a joke, obviously. Come on. Or is it? That's the question. We still got a plan to take him out for dinner one night in Richmond in a dark, empty field somewhere.
You decide. Yeah.
All right.
Matt Hagen's got a lot of farmland in Richmond that hasn't been explored yet, so
won't see him no more. So moving over to Funny Car, Ron Capps, Rahn Tobler in the winner's circle. They had such a tough qualifying, and even going back to Charlotte. But they have told the story a couple of times, and we'll speak with Capps on the show about Saturday night, crew chiefs kind of coming over and talking to Tobler and, what do you need? What do you need? We can help. And, Tobler went out and did his vintage Rahn Tobler deal, which is slide it down through there in difficult conditions and best the competition when they couldn't do it, beating Langdon, Force, Tommy Johnson, and Tim Wilkerson in the final round.
Yeah, I think that, I think it speaks volumes for Rahn Tobler, the number of people that he's helped over the years, that when it looked like he was struggling, there's a number of people that came over and said, dude, anything you need, just tell me. And I also think, I know because I've been out here long enough to see it, everybody in the pits sometimes ends up with a forest for the trees thing. You get a little bit off track, and sometimes all it takes is another guy to walk in, look over your shoulder and go, yo, dude, push that button. And that kind of straightens it out. So, a big part of having all the crew chiefs and all the brain trust on your team at a place like Don Schumacher Racing is that you have that in-house. And every crew chief in the pits has somebody, even if you are all by yourself on an island, don't have teammates, don't have, a 17-car team and 9,000 crew chiefs, there's somebody you can go to and go, hey, man, just come take a look at this and tell me what I'm missing. And, in this particular case, they certainly got the car on track. I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm probably as much of a problem as everybody else in the world, but, the final round will forever go down as a whole shot because Ron Capps' scoreboard says 406, Tim Wilkerson's scoreboard said 405. But the reality of the situation was Ron Capps made the better run. He rolled around a little bit on the starting line, which I think he would admit to. I know when I talked to Rahn Tobler, and he said he did it a couple of times, but you know what? He said, my deal at that point is, look, let him drive the car. I'm working on doing the best I can, tuning the car. We both need to do what we got to do. And if he feels like, hey, I'm going to help a little bit, then let him drive the car. I'm not going to complain about that. And that's the way it went. But I think back to a year ago in Denver when John rolled his car. John Force rolled in so deep against Ron in the final round and won on a hole shot, according to scoreboards. And then when Ron won Seattle, and he said, well, I lost that deal on a hole shot. And I said, no, you didn't. And he said, I wish you could explain that to people. And I spent 2 columns in National Dragster trying to explain it. But Ron Capps won the race because he had the better car, not because the scoreboard showed a hole shot. Tim Wilkerson's got a really good car out there. And I'm just like tangent after tangent today. All you got to do is show me a squirrel. I'm going to head off in some direction. But
that's
good for Ron Capps, good for his team. They look like they busted out of the little mini slump maybe that they were in. And that's good. The more good running competitive cars are out there, the more fun it is.
Absolutely. And, on that note, though, because Ron is real, I don't want to say cautious, but respectful to the other drivers about not wanting them to, be ostracized for losing on a hole shot. Not that Tim has to worry about it because he's his own boss, but why wouldn't Tim Wilkerson roll it in the final round? My expectation is that he would and did as much as it makes him feel comfortable to do it.
Well, the point being, even if he had, if Tim goes all the way in to lock out the top bulb, like John Force has done a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, he still doesn't win the race. That wasn't what determined who won the race. Ron Capps made the better run down the track, and 3 inches on the starting line just makes the numbers on the scoreboard come up different. It does not affect the outcome of the race. The better car won that race. Ron will tell you that. Tim will tell you that. Rahn Tobler will tell you that. Anybody that's inside the sport and understands how the numbers work looks at that and goes, Ron Capps had the better car. If he stages the same place Tim does, then he probably runs, 404, 403. He didn't beat him by a tenth of a second, but Ron Capps made the better run down the racetrack, and he gave up probably 300s on the starting line.
There you go.
300s in ET he gave up on the starting line.
Right. And that is pretty amazing. Which, by the way, on that note, since we're talking about that, how great was that John Force 399 first round? My goodness. He rolled in. That was the one where he just kept rolling in as deep as possible, had an 0.38 reaction time, still runs 399 at 327. That was a stunner.
Yeah, that run, if he stages the car shallow like he's trying to qualify, that's probably a 392. The car's running really well right now. I think what might be one of the biggest surprises in Funny Car is that he hasn't won yet because, Brian and Danny have got that car running really well. They got run over by Robert and Jimmy 4 consecutive times in 2-wide heads-up racing. The 4-wide is always a little bit of a different animal. But, this week, Ron Capps is the first guy this year to beat John Force head-to-head in a 2-wide race. Other than it's been Robert Height and his team beat John 4 consecutive times, and this was the first time that somebody other than Robert beat John to the finish line. So that 150th is coming sooner, not later.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And Pro Stock Motorcycle, Eddie Krawick, the number 1 qualifier. Big one, though, because they all wanted the 100th win for Harley-Davidson, and it was Andrew Hines, who has been absolutely resurgent here in 2019, gets the job done over Jerry Savoy in the final round. And Andrew on rails, giving all kinds of credit to the new chassis that Mike Mulaney built, and they kind of brain trusted together, going through Melissa Serber, Ryan Ayler, who has been really good also, Hector Jr., and then Jerry. But Andrew Hines, kind of fitting, honestly, that he goes out there and locks in the 100th victory for Harley-Davidson.
I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. Being shut out of the winner's circle all last year, I think has got him in more of a fight mode than he ever was. The Harley guys always are all for one for all. As long as one of us wins, we all win. They're very happy about that. But when you are Andrew and you're as accomplished as he is, and you've won championships and you've won races, and you go a year without turning on 4 win lights on the same day, at some point you go, you know what? I've had enough of this. And not that he's given up on the all for one, one for all mentality, but just, I need to get focused. I need to get back in the game. I need to see what I can do to help improve my performance. And it doesn't matter what sport you're in. You know, if you go into a game with a chip on your shoulder, you're going to be that much more difficult to beat. And right now, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Well, that is good. I like to see him race like that, and he's doing very, very well. Pro Modified, how about Mike Castellana and Frank Manzo? DNQ, the whole start of the season, come out here, win the race. And you had pointed out to me Larry Morgan's involvement. And to me, obviously, you know, Castellana, great driver, and ace is ace. But Larry Morgan, like a beloved character out there, and just the fact that he can walk from a pro stock motorcycle pit where he's helping those guys over to a pro mod pit and help those guys win races, that tells me that Larry Morgan is, you know, rock star status within the naturally aspirated and NHRA drag racing world, period.
Well, everybody's going to have their certain areas of expertise. You know, the greatest alcohol funny car racer ever is Frank Manzo. And it'll be a long time, I think, before anybody even puts their name into that conversation. You know, that, okay, well, it's the old days in baseball, you know, when you got a great shortstop. Is he as good as Ozzie Smith? Well, no, nobody's as good as Ozzie Smith, but he's a great shortstop. And that's where Frank Manzo is. You know, no matter how good you are in an alcohol funny car. Is he as good? Well, no, nobody's that good. But for all of those years that Frank spent racing the alcohol funny car, there's no suspension on one of those things. And that's what Larry was able to come over and help with. Larry spent his entire life with 4-link stuff, whether it was pro stock, you know, he dabbled a little bit in some pro modified stuff, but where the bars are, where the shocks are, how you get the tire to bite on this track condition or that track condition, where the wheelie bar needs to be, that is something that Larry Morgan has done his entire career. And when Frank went over and said, can you just come over and look at this and tell me what I'm missing here? And Larry was able to help there. You know, there's nobody thinks Frank doesn't know how to make power. There's nobody that thinks Mike Castellana doesn't know how to drive a car, but they didn't have the expert, I guess, in that area, for lack of a better term. And again, forest for the trees. You know, bring in a guy who doesn't stare at your car every day and have him go, okay, wait a minute, what's this doing there? You know, make some adjustments and get the thing to go down the racetrack, and that's all they needed. So, you know, everybody in the pits has got, you know, has gone to somebody at some point and said, I need you to just come look at this for me and see if you can help. And in this particular case, you know, Frank and Larry have both been out there for a whole lot of years, even though, you know, they've never raced head-to-head. They've never raced in the same category. But obviously a lot of respect for each other. And when Frank said, hey, can you look? Larry said, I'd be more than happy to. And it helped. You know, does this mean that they're going to go on a tear and win every race the rest of the year? Nope. But, you know, Pro Mod right now is just nuts as far as the competitive level. You qualify, you can win. You know, nobody shows up first round and goes, okay, well, this is going to be easy. With the number of really good cars that miss the cut every week, the 16 that are there every week are legitimate contenders for the trophy.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. And highlights all over the place. Chad Green, the human highlight reel, and all kinds of stuff. Very unfortunate, though. I feel terrible for Stevie Fast, who was the number one qualifier and I guess had a 2-step issue and, you know, rolled the beam as number one qualifier at his home race. Like, that's got to annoy.
Well, I could tell you it made him mad enough that he loaded up and headed to go rewire the entire car because they had just an electrical gremlin that blipped the 2-step and let the trans brake blip for a second when he's pulled into stage, and that was it. You know, there's no coming back from a lap down in NHRA. If you make one mistake, you're done for the day, and he wants to make sure that doesn't happen again. But you know, he's still got a really fast car. Todd Tuttero's still got a really fast car. Mike Janis got a really fast car. I love what Chad Green did this weekend. Qualifying number 2, going rounds, even though as you called him a highlight reel, he definitely had a wild weekend. And part of me has to think that the trip in the sand had something to do with the trip across the center line in the semifinals. You know, whether it was rocks in the car that got under the tire when he dropped the clutch, or whether something maybe got a little bent or a little tweaked or something. You know, I'm sure they'll figure that out before the next round. But I believe that the class loses a lot of appeal if it loses its last nitrous car. And I think having Chad out there, having Bob Ram out there, proving that, hey, this is still a viable combination. Just because some of the guys bailed on it doesn't mean you can't win with it. And at this point in time, I'm pulling for the nitrous cars because I'd almost feel like underdog status if for no other reason, just for the numbers.
I love what you're saying right there, and I agree. The allure of Pro Mod is the 3 power adders. If you lose them, you do lose something. You got a whole fan base. There are people who love nitrous. Great.
I just think, I'm sorry, Joe. I just think that you look at last year. Ricky Smith was 2 win nights away from winning the championship, right?
Yes.
And then at the end of the year, you go, you can't be competitive with a nitrous car. Why? Because you finished second. I mean, seriously? And then I think a lot of people look at that and go, okay, well, you know what? If Ricky says it, it must be true. And I have all the respect in the world for Ricky Smith. He and I worked together for a couple of years at David Nickens. I all the respect in the world for him. But nitrous cars can still be competitive. Just because Ricky says, okay, I'm changing, doesn't mean nobody can make a nitrous car run. I also thought it was fascinating that Warren Johnson was out there watching the nitrous cars. I stopped by his shop during the week and spent a pretty good chunk of the morning just sitting chit-chatting with him about this and that and racing and other things. And he believes that the best combination out there is the nitrous combination. He just thinks that the guys that are doing it, maybe there's something they're missing, maybe there's something that they haven't looked at, but he believes the potential to make power with 900 cubic inches of nitrous oxide is the potential to rule that class. And there's a couple of guys that had him out there just, look over the shoulder and see what you think. So hopefully that'll help a bit of a nitrous revival. We need a few more of those cars out there. And Chad Green has shown everybody you can be competitive with one.
Absolutely. Other winners, Comp Eliminator, Craig Bourgeois, Aaron Stanfield in Super Stock, Chip Johnson in Stock Eliminator, first-time winner. Trinae Cressoni in Super Comp was super happy. Jim Perry in Super Gas had to go up against a competitor that had back-to-back 9900s. That's got to be intimidating, but gets the job done. He said it was the best race of his life. Clint Smiley Riley in Top Dragster. It actually says that on his car, by the way. And, of course, Castellana in Pro Mod. Great race, top to bottom. Everybody's super happy. It was a lot of fun.
It really was. I hate for the fans that had to sit through all of that rain on Saturday and ultimately not get to see the second qualifying session and the full day's worth of activities. Sunday dawned wet, but ended up being beautiful, and our racers put on a heck of a show. I posted it on Twitter earlier today. So I'm getting way out in front of this thing, okay? Next year is going to be the 40th annual. It's going to be a big deal. NHRA is already starting to put plans in place for what can we do to make it special because of the big anniversary. And Mother Nature, if you'll just give us 3 good weather days, we'll take care of the rest. Our Atlanta fans deserve to have that kind of a race. They've had some real weather issues the last few years, and I'm asking a year in advance. Give us 3 good weather days and watch what kind of show we put on.
Yeah, Ma Nature, and I'll even bring you some Arby's.
That's not going to die for a while, is it?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Alan, great job as usual this weekend. No national event. I'm headed to Washington, D.C. with the parents. And then we're on to Richmond, though, just like that. What has taken over as, one of the smoothest tracks on the tour. We're relatively new back there. I am looking forward to going once again to Richmond.
I am looking forward to going to Richmond. I am looking forward to seeing our NHRA Pro Stock cars back on track. They've had a couple of week break. I know that a lot of them have been burning the midnight dyno fuel, so to speak. So I'm looking forward to seeing them back on track and for heading back to Virginia.
There you have it. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Enjoy your trip this week. I'll chat with you next week.
Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right at the start of WFO Radio, unless something huge happens. And the whole Killer Mike thing, right? Killer Mike is a rapper, if you don't know Killer Mike, but he is, socially conscious and a nice guy, and his dad is a big drag racing fan, came out to the track, stood on the starting line, and we were going to try to have him on. I would have put him on just ahead of Alan Reinhart, I think. And the whole point would have been to, capture some of his fans and listeners as WFO listeners, maybe in the future. And we're going to try to make that happen. He had such a great time, and it was really, really cool, as did the guys from Ozark, which was very cool, and we had a lot of fun. And yeah, we were teasing Alan by not giving him the Arby's. And he brings up a point. Look, I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to the WFO universe, okay? Whether you be a fan, whether you be working in the drag racing media, whether you be on a race team or whatever, you guys have got advanced and evolved sense of humor and understand poking a little fun, busting chops, and sarcasm. But understand this. There are a lot of people that just don't get it. They don't get the sarcasm. They don't get it. You know what I look at them as? Potential victims. Oh, yeah. Isn't it fun when you're poking fun and people don't realize it? That just means there's an opportunity for more fun. Now, you know some people who do get it. Terry McMillan and the guys at motorsportsguys.com. And they've got a whole lot going on. For instance, if you got a top fuel team or if you're running nitromethane, you should be running the new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many pro drag racers like Terry. To avoid the drop cylinder moments, it saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression for better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. Comes in the 70 weight, but also the Pro line comes in 2050, 1030, and 520. So if you're a regular consumer and you want to use the same great stuff that Terry uses, you can order it right from motorsportsguys.com. You get the right filter for your car, and next thing you know, you are rolling. Amalie is better than it has to be since 1903, and it's available at motorsportsguys.com. In addition to a lot of other great parts and pieces from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive, All-Star Performance, K&N Air Filters, Molly Filters, Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, and others. So go to motorsportsguys.com, and more importantly, open a browser and bookmark it. Type in motorsportsguys.com. You can get there from WFOradio.com. You can get there from a browser. And just check out all the cool stuff that they've got. Because if you're a dirt track guy or a drag radial guy, they got parts and pieces for your car. Or if you're a regular grocery store goer, you can get there too, thanks to the folks at motorsportsguys.com. And you should definitely get your next oil change from them at motorsportsguys.com. When we come back, we're going to check in with the reigning Top Fuel world champion, Steve Torrence. And this one was tough. Like, who goes first, Torrence or Caps? And Torrence is the undefeated in the countdown champ from last year. He's the reigning champ. He's won back-to-back. He runs Top Fuel. So I'm leading with Torrence. But it was a tough challenge. Steve Torrence will be next, followed by Caps, followed by Andrew Hines, maybe Mike Castellana, and more. Stick around. Steve up after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series, or sportsman racers in the Racing RV's top dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back, everybody. Got to tell you about Magic Dry. Magic Dry, all over the drag racing world, the official organic absorbent of NHRA. And they've got these spill kits that you can get at magicdryus.com. You can give them a call at 833-221-2257 if you want to just call them up and order it up. But you can use the web as well. And it is kind of cool because depending on what your situation is, it's tough enough for industrial spills, but safe enough for household use. 5 times more absorbent than any other leading clay absorbent, plus it's all natural. And the bottom line is you got to go to the website. You got to check it out. Folks at Magic Dry doing a great job. And more importantly than any of that, to me, is they are supporting NHRA drag racing. They had the Magic Dry Arizona Nationals. They got the Cat Spot Litter Northwest Nationals. It's made from the same product, which is organic. It's made from coconut husk. It absorbs 560% of its weight in liquid. All those reasons, plus Scott Palmer and all the racers they help, good enough reason to stock your garage or stock your shop with Magic Dry. So go to the website, magicdryus.com, or call them. They've got a number. You can give them a call and find out exactly directly, 833-221-2257. And if you do that and you're speaking with someone, I would ask you to tell them you heard about it on WFO radio. Like this WFO guy, man, he's really pushing the product big time. 833-221-2257, because you know what? Not only did they support Scott Palmer and they support the sport of drag racing and get those shop floors clean, but they support WFO as well. And I greatly appreciate that. Thanks to the guys at magicdryus.com. Joining us now for the second week in a row. All right, the champ has caught fire. Steve Torrence is back. Steve, welcome back.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, now I know that you watch Game of Thrones every week. Maybe we'll have to do like a Game of Thrones report.
Brother, let me tell you something. So I didn't watch that when we got home Sunday night. It was too late. But I watched it last night, and heck, I was still up about 11:30 trying to go to sleep. I done got wound up again.
No, me too. Me too. And we don't want to reveal anything for the, spoiler alert, Caps is still behind and all that. But
oh, man, come on, Caps, get it together.
I know, but too many minutes in a row of positive things happening always triggers an alarm for me. Like, man, it's been like 40 minutes since anything horrible happened on Game of Thrones. And just when that happened, man, it all turned negative.
It did. It went bad. So I'm excited for next week. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, we get to have this debrief session because you won the race. You told us last week that your driving, attitude, you changed it. You wanted to focus. You wanted to get after it, and that's what you did. Number 2 qualifier. You and Brittany both going to the final round. To me, that's like the kind of thing that's going to help grow the sport. The last 2 champs, you guys spent the day in Arby's like slinging beef and cheddars. You meet in the final round. That's pretty cool. You came out on top.
So Saturday night after our last qualifying session, somehow my guys had left me in the car. I think Brittany had already ran, and I'm trying to remember how this was. Austin Prock and I rode back in Brittany's tow vehicle to the pits, and Brittany stayed down there doing the interview. And me and a couple of her crew guys were talking, and I said, "How about that? We're 1 and 2. I'll just see you guys in the final." And Austin, he goes, "Hey, I might have something to say about that." And so it was a good time. We were just kind of picking on each other and having fun. But to go out and be 1 and 2 and then go all the way to the final round and race each other in the final, I mean, that's when the fans get what they pay for. And you get 2 good cars that are going out there and battling it out. And it's kind of funny that her and Grubby are together now as far as teamed up, and over the last 2 years individually, they've both been the people that we were battling it out, and now they're combined.
Yeah, exactly. That's very Game of Thrones right there. Like 2 opponents have merged to battle you, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the ladder, and I'm just sensing it's a change. And when you won the championship, first of all, when Brittany won the championship, and you guys battled all year long, and then you won the championship, we're experiencing just a new era of Top Fuel racing. But then looking at the semifinals, Jordan Vandergriff versus Brittany. So 2 young, fresh faces of NHRA drag racing. Sure, she's got the last name Force and he's got the last name Vandergriff, but these are different people. You and Sean Reed. Sean coming in from drag boats. He's not like he's like a young face, but he is a fresh face, and he's got grit and determination, which is very cool. Second round, Dom Lagana, Palmer, Leah and Antron. This is a different Top Fuel that we are experiencing right now, and I think it's a breath of fresh air. It's actually kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, it's just, I won't say it's changing of the guard, but it's just some of the younger faces that are coming to the front. And, we're missing Tony Schumacher out there. And Antron, he's just always a fresh face. And, Doug's doing really well. They've struggled the last couple races, but, you can't forget about that guy, arguably the best driver to never win a championship in Top Fuel. So, they stumped their toe this weekend, but they won't do that for long. But you're right. It is pretty cool. I was Sunday afternoon, we'd won the race, and I walked back over to the pit, and I walked by Jordan's pit, and I see him over there, and I was like, hey, man, good job, and just a really nice, respectful young man. And I don't think about those kids as being, a whole lot younger than me. I don't think about myself as being old. And Jordan's like, yes, sir. And man, I was wanting to race you in the final, and I want to race you in the final for the first one. That would be cool. And we got in the tow vehicle, or in the rent car to head to the airport, and I'm talking to Natalie and my mom, and I'm like, I guess that I'm no longer the young guy. I'm the old guy, and kids like Jordan Vandergriff are gunning for me now. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that had to be a weird feeling, though, Steve, and that's part of it, man. The Lion King, right? Like, you take over the spot, and then all of a sudden everyone's gunning for you, and that's what's happening. These guys are gunning for you. They want to be like Steve Torrence. You mentioned, we talked last week about Mike Salinas. He said, we're going to pattern our team after your team. Once upon a time, people were, and not that long ago, by the way, and people still pattern their team after DSR, and DSR is still, I don't want to say it that way to misinform people, but that has got to be the best side compliment to what you have done. You built a team, you've had success.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Others are copying it. You're a driver, they want to beat you. That's what being a champion's all about.
And that's the biggest form of a compliment you can get. And just, you can't even say us and Schumacher in the same sentence. That guy's got multiple teams, and just the factory of drag racing over there. So we're a much smaller scale, much just different race team in general. So I think it's something that's more achievable and attainable for a family run team, or one or maybe 2-car team to come out and try to do. Schumacher and Force, those guys are just on the next level.
They are. Now, just so everyone understands, and so I understand, the hard parts you guys buy, right, block and head and stuff, are which parts?
We use all AJ parts. We buy everything from Alan Johnson Performance, and have since day one. We've experimented with some other people that make parts. We've run some of the Schumacher parts, and we just, man, it's hard to deviate from what and that's what's got us to where we're at. And that's what we've run since day one. So it's just, that's what we've continued to stay with. And Alan Johnson does a great job at making those parts for us.
No, and that's what I wanted to know, because the whole concept of like being able to go and buy parts that are good enough that you can go out and be successful, which is what you have done, and helped others get involved in the sport and ramp up. You mentioned in the media center about how you were asked, you had to run Scott Palmer again, right? And so Palmer's a satellite team for you guys, and Dom Lagana, satellite team in many ways, where they are able to be successful because they're using stuff that they're getting through you.
Yeah, and not to discredit any of the teams that build their own stuff, but NHRA regulates the parts that we use. So it's the biggest thing of teams that build their own in-house cylinder heads and blocks or whatever it may be, is just a big cost savings, because those guys have full-blown machine shops and personnel that work at the shop all day, every day to manufacture that. So they're cutting costs. And if you're that big, that's something that you definitely have to do. So they're not getting anything better than us, but we're going out there and buying the stuff from AJ, and he ships it to us. All those guys over, everybody at AJPE is super nice people, and they take really good care of us. And I mean, it's just plug and play parts that everybody can buy the same parts. At the end of the day, it's the personnel that you have and the team that you got behind you. And every now and then on my end, it's the driver, but more often than not, it's just a really good group of guys that are putting the best parts that we can provide them with. They're putting them together like they should be and maintaining them well. And when you do that, it's a recipe for success.
And I think that the reason I'm going down this road with you is like 10 years ago, maybe it was a little sooner than that. But when NHRA, locked down the rules for the most part, their goal was this. Their goal was that, people would be able to buy parts and not have to worry about them being like 3 generations behind what the cutting edge stuff was, so that a family team or a smaller team or a slightly less budgeted team could at least feel like, we can do this. And I just think it's worthwhile to point out, like, hey, that's worked.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, that's the good thing about our sport is everything is on a level playing field, and you can just go buy those parts and come out, and as long as you got the personnel to do the tune-up and the guys to put it together, I mean, you can be a front runner pretty quick out of the gate by just store-bought, factory-run parts.
Yeah, great stuff for NHRA, and hopefully a signal to others that are out there, like, get in the water is fine. This is something that can be done if you hire the right people. Now, you're leading the points, 96 up on Brittany, 115 up on Doug, Leah's 146, Clay is 5th, 152. And now we're getting into a part of the season where you're going to be running a lot, right? Heading to Richmond in a couple of weeks. Spoke with Richard Hogan and Bobby Lagana. First of all, I just want you to make sure that there's no connection with the Atlanta Braves in your victory. You know that, right?
No. Bobby, he's a diehard to the death Yankees fan, so he may wear somebody else's hat, but it's only temporary.
It's a temporary.
We're still, Bobby will be back with that Yankees hat on.
Which is very good, regardless of where he is. He says if he goes to the home stadium, he'll buy it. Like, I think you said it, he's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He's one of the funnest guys ever, and I mean, you can just see his attitude and his excitement and everything that he does when we win a round or win a race or whatever it is. I mean, Bobby's running down the starting line, jumping around, flailing his arms, kicking. I mean, he's just an excitable, fun guy, and I get as much enjoyment. I'm glad that I'm not on the starting line because he's too dadgum rough to knock you over and tackle you and hurt you and all that. So I'm glad I'm at the finish line, but I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching him on the coverage or through the film that we film on our cars taking off, and just seeing and hearing Bobby's reaction when we have success.
Now, what about the fact that, watching you out there, it has been interesting. You got to go through Palmer. You got to go through Sean Reed, whole shot win over Sean, final round against Brittany. You as the champion, now you've won 1 race. Now you've won 2 races. So it's not like there's anything to prove. Having a chip on the shoulder is kind of hard to do because you're back in the points lead, all of those things. So finding motivation now, if you need to summon it or want to summon it, where does it come from? Because it's really, Steve Torrence is the face of Top Fuel, among others, don't get me wrong, but still, you're the reigning champ, you're winning races, you're the points leader, and now the season lies ahead, and you're just going to be showing up to tracks and trying to pick up Wallies. So, talk about, like, keeping that edge that you like to have, given those circumstances. You've won now twice, you're leading the points, the first 2-time winner. You follow what I'm saying? Like, how do you summon that intensity?
I think that's just an internal element that you possess as a competitor. I mean, you can ask anybody out there. Winning is what we're there to do. Everybody goes there. Nobody goes to that racetrack with the intention to lose. Nobody goes there with the mindset to just be good enough. Everybody there in some capacity is a competitor and has it in their mind that they're there to win. They want to win. And so when you lose that, you need to quit doing it. And I mean, whether we've won one race, two races, or no races, we're there to win. We're there to compete. And I mean, I think that's just, some people have it more than others, and some people handle it differently, but winning motivates me. Being the best at anything is motivating to me. I'm a natural born competitor. That's just who I am. And so I don't really have to pick one thing to motivate me to do that, but I have learned a little bit about myself over the last couple of years, and I just I have to have a different, more aggressive mindset to go out there and do that. But that's just what I'm programmed to do, and so I don't think anything will be differently. I just was a little too lax, and I mean, you look back, and the last 2 years have been pretty dadgum stressful just as a whole. I mean, we go through 17 and lose the championship in Pomona, and we come into 18 and run as well as we did all year long, and you try to maintain and keep that constant edge and focus and mindset that I've talked about the last couple of races. And I mean, it's difficult when we finish the season, we're the champs, we come back into this season, and I was a little too relaxed and a little too just I let my guard down and thought, well, we're the champs, we've made it. But we only got to celebrate that from November to February. Now it's time to go back racing and defend that. So when I started changing the way that I was driving and my attitude getting in the car, we've done better. So it's time to being the champs over with. You know, that was from the World Finals to the Winter Nationals, and now somebody else is trying to take it.
Yeah, and that's what's cool is, like, you're in a new place now. This is not Steve who was trying to win a championship, or Steve who won a championship in an unbelievable fashion and now is trying to defend. Now you're like, you got a chance to just groove and just be and see what happens. 29 wins since you started running Top Fuel, 33 over your career. You're 9th all time. And it's like this new period of your career is beginning. Like, what's possible over the next season or 2 seasons or 3 seasons? It's going to be a lot of fun to watch you do that.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool to win Atlanta this weekend, and I've got most of the same guys that we started with. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I had Richard Hogan, Gary Pritchett, and Cale Hood there, who were there with me in 2012 at Atlanta when we won our very first race. So that was a special moment to be able to spend with those guys and look back and think, man, we've been together for 29 of these things. So, I mean, you kind of look at that number, and some of these guys have got 50 and 80 and 150 or whatever it is. So, I mean, in some comparison, it's not that many, but you look at some of the names you're listed with, and how many of those guys and girls have, where you're at, I think we're bumping into the top 10 all-time wins, and it's just pretty special. And I mean, we're making a mark in drag racing, something I didn't think I would ever do.
Yeah, you are making a mark. You are in the top 10. The next is 8th. Would be, I believe, Corey Mack, 34 wins. And then there's going to be a bunch that cluster up real quick after that. It is pretty cool. But you mentioned you're a natural-born competitor. There's a couple of things that you're doing that I want, like the long-distance shooting. We have seen videos, but now you're also heavily doing like rodeo, roping, Where do you find the time for all this stuff and to be any good at all of them? You know what I mean? Like, everything that's worth doing takes time to be good at it. The shooting, the driving, the roping. Like, when are you doing all this?
Man, it's just my personality. I'm competitive. I'm somewhat obsessive. So when I get into something, I get into it 200%. And so over the last probably year and a half, I would say 2 years, I've got into the cattle business, and then I got some horses, and then I decided I wanted to rope, and I started roping with some of my buddies, and then I just saw this as another way to compete. So I was talking to Natalie on the way home Sunday, and she goes, well, what are we going to do this weekend? And I said, well, Sunday we got to do the Mother's Day deal, but on Saturday I'm going roping somewhere. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, the last 4 weekends I've went roping or racing and won both drag races and finished second and third at the other 2 roping. So I think that we need to keep this streak going. She just laughed at me and said, sometimes I don't know how she deals with me, but the roping thing has been a lot of fun. It's a team sport. So I rope the head, and I got some other buddies that rope with me that rope the feet, and it's just something fun. It's like my golf game. I'm terrible at golf. I don't like golf, and most people play golf to relax, and it's the most frustrating thing ever to me. But this team roping deal has been pretty relaxing and fun, and I get to hang out with some buddies and do it, and it's just what I enjoy to do on my time off.
I got to give you like super bonus points for being, slick enough to tie the roping to your drag racing performance, thus justifying going to do it. Like, hey, we got a good streak going. We got to keep it going. Like, that was really slick. That was a good move, Steve.
Yeah. I was trying to lay that one out there with a nice, smooth delivery, and she was receptive, so we're good.
There it is. That's exactly right, and very good. Steve, thank you for coming on the show. It's always cool when you're on back-to-back weeks, when anyone's on back-to-back weeks, because the first time it's about, man, you won the race, and the second time it's like, yeah, you won the race, but we get to dig down a little bit deeper, and I think you as face of Top Fuel, family racing team as face of Top Fuel, the collective group of guys that you have put together, good guys, fun guys, live with their heart on their sleeve, guys like Bobby Lagana, celebrate when they win, stick around afterwards, all that stuff. That is all really good for the sport and really what drag racing is supposed to be. And so good job. Congratulations. Enjoy your weekend of roping. And, of course, we'll be watching Game of Thrones next Sunday night, see what happens. Only 2 to go. And then we'll see you in Richmond.
Sounds good, Joe. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve. Steve Torrence with us here on WFO Radio. And love checking in with him. Love the fact that he likes Game of Thrones. And here's the thing. It's the end of the line for Game of Thrones. You never have to hear it ever again after 2 more weeks. And then it's it. But it's really building to this crazy crescendo, and everybody is talking about it. In fact, the one from 2 weeks ago was the most watched show ever on HBO. And we could have definitely geeked out about it. Me and Angel geeked out about it a little bit while out there in Atlanta because it's a crazy show. And if you haven't been in on it, then, tough luck. It's good stuff. Cultural phenomenon. Everybody's into it, right? All the cool kids are. And everybody else, you're cool too. But thanks to Steve for coming on the show. My thoughts about the whole Steve Torrence situation, I kind of let it out right there, is the page has been turned, right? We're in the Torrence era now of NHRA drag racing. And without that crash in Dallas, and not to take anything away from Brittany Force, who went out and got the job done, but Torrence could potentially be going for a 3rd championship in a row. 29 wins in just a few years, just amazing. And who's going to stop him? That's my question. Wrap your mind around it. Who is going to step up and stop the Capco boys? Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Antron Brown? It could be Antron Brown. Is it going to be Brittany Force? It could be Brittany Force. Is it going to be Mike Salinas and Alan Johnson? It could be Mike Salinas and Alan Johnson. I'm going to list, I could list everyone. But all of those seem unlikely right now. They all seem unlikely. Is Steve Torrence going to derail himself? Is the team going to break up? Is someone going to hire them away? That I do not know. But Steve is in a new spot in his career. He is the man, and really unrivaled as the man, in a position that Tony Schumacher was in and others have been in. And what will he do with it? And how far will they go? And what are they capable of? The first two-time winner of the 2019 season. But what does this season hold? Does it hold 5 wins? Does it hold 3 wins? Does it hold 11 wins? We just don't know. And that is what's going to make it fun. And they are gunning for the history books. This is an era, the Torrence era, that we are in. And will it be one that people talk about for many years, like the Schumacher era? Or will it be one that is a little more brief, but maybe more dominant? Like, we don't know. And that's what's cool. And I'm looking forward to it. And now he's got nothing to prove. It's just about racking up the numbers, going out there, figuring out how to be him, how to be at his best, and rack up the numbers and perform and entertain. I always say that. Perform and entertain and get in a groove and, you be you. It's going to be very interesting to see. And, who can come back? Tony Schumacher is still out there lingering. Are they going to be back? Are they ever going to be back? These are questions that all factor in. It's going to be very, very cool and very fun to watch. And hopefully you'll attend a race. All right, when we come back, it's going to be Ron Capps. Ron Capps is up next. But right now, I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak and Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Because Marvin is a great human being who also has great information, experience, and knowledge. And if you've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time and have never ordered Rodak's something, I'm talking to you in particular, okay? The coffee is gourmet, roasted fresh per your order, and an experience unto itself. You can get it full bean, or you can get it ground. If you don't have a grinder, I would get it ground, because then you're in trouble. You're going to break out the hammer or something. But he's got all these blends, and it comes from all these different places, and you can call him, and he'll set you on the right track. But this is the best coffee in the world we're talking about. But also, tools for grilling. Grills themselves. If you're down there in Fort Worth, Texas, they've got grills, high-level stuff. The hot sauces are incredible. Hot sauces and spice rubs. And it's been a long time since I've mentioned the holiday packs. Give Marvin a call. Tell him you want one of those holiday packs for the start of summer. And get some coffee, get some hot sauce, get some spice rub, get a coffee mug, get a bunch of stuff, and start living the Rodak's experience. Give him a call. 817-924-6821. That's 817-924-6821. You like how I'm doing it slow? As if you're like writing it down or putting it in your phone? And get on the program with Marvin Rodak, and you'll understand why I've been enamored with his coffee and hot sauce and spice rub for so long. Great guy, great person, great to talk to, great to chat with. Most importantly, great food, great coffee. We will be back with Ron Capps after this.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Hussey Performance Copper Head Gaskets. Do you make big power? That's the question. Hussey Performance specializes in quality copper gaskets to your exact specs. Any bore, any size and thickness. From 500 cubic inch nitro burning Hemis to turbocharged Pro Mods to Honda engines or even big tractors, Hussey Performance makes the gaskets. If you're a racer, you're thinking about, well, how long does this take? Typically, less than a week. They want to help you make the race. Next day shipping is also available. What to do? You got to call David directly, 724-318-8292, or go to husseyperformance.net. And one more thing, it's all made in America, including the machines they use. That is huge. 724-318-8292. 292 Hussey Performance copper head gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
It's been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego is gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radial. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro podcast, Joe Castello. And 10 years ago when we started this podcast, there were like 10 people who listened to podcasts. That number has grown, but we're always looking for new listeners and first-time listeners. And you can always reach out, Joe at WFOradio.com, or even call our wide-open line, 954-889-6796, or even record your thoughts and opinions into your mobile device, something that people don't realize, voice memos. You just click record. Hey, Joe, I think you guys stink, and send it to Joe at WFOradio.com, and we'll sort through them. And it's a great way to get you on the show with your thoughts and opinions. We got Ron Capps coming up very, very soon. But right now I want to tell you about samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. And that's where I dive in with my own thoughts and opinions. Look, here's the thing. If you're a parent and your child loves cars and you're wondering, like, what's the right career road for them, I'm someone that's out there and I see it. I see young people who have gone to Samtech and gotten the connections and the training to understand how to make it in this career. And one thing is for sure, they love what they're doing. So do you want to send your child off to the cubicle farm where they can be answering the phone and pushing papers around and surrounded by these cardboard walls and soul is slowly dying every single day? Or do you want them out there working in, granted, a field that is very challenging, but they love what they do? And that's your decision. So when you're talking to them about what they're going to do with their lives and they don't know, of course they don't know. I didn't know. Did you know you knew exactly what you were going to do for the rest of your life? Becoming a high-performance engine builder or a machinist, a CNC machinist, motorsport EFI tuner. Who knows what direction they will go once they have their core education from samtech.edu. They offer an Associate of Applied Science degree. They're a military-friendly school. They're approved to train veterans and other eligible people under the GI Bill. Go to samtech.edu today to find out more information. samtech.edu. And, of course, you tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Tell Brian Massengill. Tell Linda Massengill. 713-683-3817. That's 713-683-3817. What you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. But in the end, it's all about your young person being involved in a life that they love and that is challenging and different every day, that can't be sent off, outsourced, or automated. You're not automating machinists. Machinists are the ones that make the automators. You got it? And if we're going to be honest with each other, what's going to happen in the next 20 years? Well, many, many jobs will be automated. And being a machinist is not going to be automated. That's one of the things. So, I don't know, maybe you want them working on the phone lines as like a telecommunications person, you know, like doing customer service over there. Oh, yeah, they don't do that really anymore. Or how about, you know, over-the-road truck driver? That's a job that's still going, but they're saying not for that long. Hopefully not. Hopefully that stays in the hands of the humans. CNC machining, engine building, being involved in racing, electronic fuel injection collaboration, becoming technicians. Those are jobs that are going to last for a while. and being the people that build the robot overlords. Who do you think is going to do that? Go to samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed and really think about quality of life, like doing what you love. What is that worth? Go to samtech.edu or call 713-683-3817 to find out more information. And that's something I'm really interested in and happy to be promoting here on WFO. Because in the end, it's about more than just going fast, in my opinion. But we do have that Factory Stock podcast, though, that you should all be subscribed to, on another note. Because the next one's coming soon. They're back in Richmond. Oh, yeah. All right, speaking of back, joining us now, the funny car winner out there at the Arby's Southern Nationals. A much-needed victory, and they certainly acted like it. Joining us now, Ron Capps. Ron, welcome back. First win 2019. How's it feel?
Oh, man, Joe, it feels so good. I joked with Steve Torrence in the shutdown area after we won, because it seems like he's been winning left and right. And it just seemed like forever since we were in the winner's circle and got a Wally. So I was quickly, I think, corrected by somebody that was only Charlotte of the countdown last year since our last win, which I guess for our standards is a long time the way an Napa team wins. But, I didn't mean to sound spoiled because I know there's a lot of guys either haven't won or it's been a lot longer than that. So I guess it's all in different perspective.
Absolutely, but that's your perspective. You're coming in off a run the past several seasons, dating back to the season prior to the championship season, where you're winning races on a very regular basis. So whether it's 9 races or so, that can feel like a long time, especially with a winter break thrown in there.
Yeah, it's for me anyway, PR wise, and I try to keep our fans, especially our close fans, in the loop of what's going on with our team. And you don't want to put out a press release that it's constantly a different excuse, because it's real easy for a driver when their publicist comes over to get their quotes after every race or after every qualifying session. It's real easy to throw the cliche and real quickly put out the whatever comes to your mind. And I hate doing that. I want to go ahead and just tell people, hey, this is what's really going on and this is why. And, so they understand what's going on behind those ropes. And so, yeah, we have struggled, especially for our team and Napa and Rahn Tobler, the way he's been in the past. So it was nice to sort of be honest with everybody about what we've been doing, what problems were, how confident we were leaving Houston, and then how much that whole thing in Charlotte really affected us and really threw Rahn Tobler for a loop. So it was nice for him to wake up Sunday morning and for me when I stepped on the gas, especially first round, but more so as the day went on, and just felt like more and more it was vintage Rahn Tobler. And really what we've done the past, close to a decade together is that go out and in adverse conditions, adapt and go down the racetrack when a lot of cars can't.
Very cool stuff happening with Ron and some of the other crew chiefs. But I want to go back to Charlotte in that you guys just having some challenges. I remember looking at the point standings a few weeks ago thinking, wow, man, you guys are, down the list a little bit in 10th, maybe even on the outside. This class is so tough that even though it's still early, and we keep saying it's still early, you want to gain some points now. So, you inoculate yourself a little bit later on in the season. Who knows what may happen? You go out in Charlotte and you're just having crazy problems. And Tobler says, different car, pull out a backup car. And that was a big move.
Yeah, well, we really had no choice. It was steering, all of a sudden the steering, and it wasn't just the steering, like the steering box, it was the car wanted to move hard to the right. We already had it on the schedule to be front halved after the Atlanta race. So it was getting up there in runs to where Rahn Tobler likes to go ahead and send it back to our DSR fab shop, put a new front half on it. And he's very, very good at planning ahead, figuring out where we need to be, where we're going to be at in the season, countdown coming up, and really making sure we've got the car fresh when we need it. And we have 2 cars that we alternate. So making sure at least we have one fresh and keeping a track of how many runs, what the car has gone through, how many shakes it's gone through. So for the fans listening, I mean, we are very on top of looking down the road. And I always brag about that, about Tobler. But, you know, even with that being said, to have it show up after Houston, after a great weekend, we looked at the points, and within a round and a half in front of us, we could have jumped like 7 positions. So we really felt good, and then that was thrown into our sort of plan, and having to switch and barely qualifying, and just so anyway.
Yeah.
That car is going to get front half. We will probably run it on a Monday coming up and make sure it's good and put it away for a backup and keep running the car we're running now. So that was nice to see a little bit more confidence out of Tobler.
So let's hear the. We know that Ron, and we have spoken with about Rahn Tobler so many times, that he helps out many other teams who come to him like, man, we're lost, or we have a challenge, or we don't know what to do. I mean, that happens so often that the fans may not completely understand it, whether it be even within DSR or even outside of DSR. Certain examples, too many to list. In this particular example, he was visited by like everybody that he had helped over the years, just to kind of like sort it out, like, hey, what can we do? That had to be the best feeling. Like, what was that like to know that, you know, your relationship, that your crew chief, your team is significant beyond it, like so many others coming in to be helpful?
Yeah, well, you know, the McLeod clutch car that Jim Oberhofer and those guys over there have put together, that's been a process of really our guys helping them put that car together, and Tobler helping Jimmo and that gang put that car, because they bought a lot of parts from Don. So Tobler's been spread a little bit out, trying to help some other teams, as well as, like you said, you know, really anytime one of our cars, and this is what's awesome and not awesome. It depends on which car you are. But to get a visit from Don Schumacher in your pit area, if you're not running good, and let's say one of the other or two of the other DSR funny cars are running very good, Don's not shy about coming in saying, "Hey, why don't you look at what they're doing over there?" And he may not say it like that, but the way where my locker is and where I get dressed is right where the crew chief lounge is. So we share that, and I'm able to hear all that and be involved in that. So, yeah, Tobler has been an open book. He's helped John Collins, Eric Lane, of course. They bought a lot of parts from us for the Tasca car, and he's been a huge help, as well as our former assistant crew chief, Dickie Venables, guys like that. So when they're struggling, Tobler goes right over there and wants to help any way possible. So it was really cool this week, and I've seen it in the past. Dickie Venables came over in Phoenix this year and just kind of told Tobler what he was doing, asked if he needed any help, and then looked at him and said, "Tobler, what I'm running, you helped me with not long ago. So go do what you do, but here's what I have." And then this weekend, same thing with John Collins and the Make-A-Wish cars. And Eric Lane with Tasca came right over on Friday night and Saturday night and said, "Look, here's what we've been doing with our car. If you need any questions, here's my run. I'll show you my run." And these are guys that we race against. But that's the type of guy Rahn Tobler is, and the help he gives for guys to come back and say, "Here, let me help you with something." So that made my hair on my neck stand up. It was very cool.
Tremendous. And that's some of the stuff behind the scenes that happens. And the whole Paul Lee situation, a lot of effort put in by a lot of people to get that car on the track, from what I understand.
Yeah, Paul's a great guy. It's great to have him back out here, especially after having, the Widowmaker heart attack that he got through. But Jim Oberhofer obviously worked with Rahn Tobler at Coletta's, and this past few months, they wanted to debut that car much earlier, and Don wanted to help them. They bought a lot of parts, but basically our guys put that car together with them just like our car, and that car was set up. They tested on Monday when we did in Charlotte, and it ran really good. His first full lap was a 392, and so we knew it was going to be good. So Ron he didn't come back to the trailer after qualifying on Saturday. I was wondering where he was. Well, he stayed up there to watch their car run. And so for them to qualify was awesome. Jimmo was coming over. They were chatting about what they did. And believe it or not, what Paulie's car did actually helped our car a little bit, because it's set up identical to ours. Tobler actually saw something the way that car left the starting line and I believe that helped us on Sunday as well. So, yeah, just a group effort. But to have people kind of come around, and, that's drag racing. We've always talked about other teams pitching in, but there it was Sunday. I mean, we had we had Hagen's guys over there helping us in between runs, and, when they went out, and it's just it's nice to see that click, whether you're winning or losing. At the end of the day, you're like, wow, this is really neat to be part of a good team like this.
Yeah, all right, let's get into your round by round. I want to make sure everybody hears the round by round. But that is great stuff. And that's some of the behind-the-scenes stories that, I appreciate you sharing here on WFO Radio. 62nd national event win, 61 in funny car, absolutely huge. And first final round, I guess, in Atlanta. So a little tying it all together. But you had to start the day running the most recent race winner and the most recent funny car winner, a guy who has won in Top Fuel and in funny car now, Sean Langdon. You guys left together, but you got it down through there, and that was the challenge. Like, could you make it down the track in those first couple rounds? 407 got the job done.
You got to remember, we did not have lane choice, and the left lane was definitely the lane of choice for everybody for whatever reason. And sure enough, Rahn Tobler, that was the first time I said, oh, here we go. This is like good wine. This is vintage Rahn Tobler. Sean's car popped way out. I saw a good 3/4 of his car about half track, and then he quickly disappeared, which I knew in my head he either smoked the tires or he banged the blower or something, but it disappeared in a hurry. And I ran it down there, and it sounded like my car, it was spinning a little bit, so I actually shut it off a little bit early, and it ran 407. I'm not sure what happened to Sean's car. Yeah, they were ahead of us, but you still got to make it to the finish line. And we saw what happened throughout the day, that getting to the finish line was no easy thing with dragster or funny car. So that was a big round. They just come off a win. They're running good. They're consistent going down the track. And Sean's a great leader, so that was huge.
Very tricky track and conditions. This was a tough race to win. Second round, you got to go up against John Force in Atlanta. Again, it's 4 years in a row you guys have raced. To the point, prior to the run, you had run 3 years in a row, and you had beat him 3 years in a row, which is just unbelievable. This was the 101st time you guys have run each other, which is just insanity. And you ran 402 with a 2, left first by a couple thou, and won the race. But another run against John Force, and John has been, he's been performing pretty well, number 3 qualifier.
Yeah. He's got Courtney's car. We know that's a great car. It's running good. It has run good the past couple of years. And, he's got this renewed sense of vitality, I guess it is. And so we knew that was going to be a big matchup. And anytime you race John Force, it's basically poker. You go up there and you know where he's going to stage. Do you risk yourself being on paper look like you lost on a hole shot? Do you roll it in as deep? What do you do? And you got to sometimes trust your team that they're going to get you the win. And I in the shutdown area on the radio was laughing at this hideous laugh because my win light came on, and they came on the radio and said 402 again in the lane that was not the lane of choice. And to go down there with no smoke and run 402 in the middle of the day, as much humidity and heat that we had, that was classic. Again, Rahn Tobler and our Napa guys, and I had that laugh going on. My guys laugh at me when I do that, but it's like, man, oh man, that was awesome. That's the feeling that really changes everything. And so that was a big round. Whether you race John Force first round, second round, it still feels like you're racing him for the final round of Pomona for the championship, and especially this year. So that was huge.
And he was the second low ET of the round as I scanned the other ETs. That 431, like you guys were the only ones that got down in the second round.
Yeah, I could hear his car. I mean, early on, he was right next to me, and then it disappeared maybe 600 or 700 feet. I don't know if he pulled the tires loose. That it seemed like was happening to a lot of people. So then that sound disappeared out of my left ear, and I just ran it down there to the finish line.
Semifinals. Robert and Wilk on one side of the racetrack and you and Tommy. And so it's a perfect example, the driver versus driver, crew chief versus crew chief, Rahn Tobler, John Collins, who, set the cars up similar, share information, all of that. Tough race. Tommy's 064 solid. Your 047, that was your best light of race day. What did you do on that run? You went 407, so you couldn't have been in that deep. Tell me about the run.
Well, we saw Height and Wilkerson in front of us, and we saw Wilkerson run the 08. We'd just run 02 the round before. We knew at that point we had picked the right lane, which wasn't the choice for everybody else, and lane choice didn't seem to be a big deal, but you always want it. And I got it, Ron obviously had John Collins from the Make-A-Wish team, as his assistant for a long time, and that's always a big round. Rahn Tobler, he loves racing his old proteges, and John Collins has showed the last few years what he's done. He's battled for a championship and been right there. So we knew that was going to be a huge run, and always when we race them, it seems like you're going to have to go to the finish line, and they're not going to beat themselves. So that was a big run, and I just felt like I had to get up. That was it. You could almost see the final round. You can taste it, and you don't want to lose it. And I didn't want to lose it on a hole shot. That was for sure. And so I did whatever I could do in the seat, and of course the car went right down there, and we got 407, which gave us lane choice over Wilkerson by not a lot, but just enough.
Just enough, yeah, just about 100th of a second. So before we talk about the final round, you're in the new paint scheme, black paint, which, like black. Think of the people who have had success in black in all motorsports. You can't help but think of Reinhart and others. You ran a black car for a long time back in the Copenhagen time. There's just something about black. Not that I'm against the blue Napa, but there's just something about black. It's a little, there's an intimidation factor out there, I think. You're also in the home of Napa. So here we go. This is a race you really want to win, going up against Wilk, who, given all I just stated, he might have still been hungrier than you because he has just been knocking on the door for so long.
Yeah, you never, I learned this a long time ago, never count out Tim Wilkerson, whether it's a race or a championship, because he will quietly come along and strike. It's just like a snake. He will take you out. And I've raced him. I didn't know it till you told me 3 times, the last 3 times. So anyway, I really felt like that was going to be him getting back at me for a couple of years ago when we barely beat him. And once again, we had another close race. Tim is, he's such old school. Reminds me of Del Worsham. They still works on it. He drives it. And until he came over to the shut dinner and told me that it was a hole shot win, I rolled it in. I told him, I said, don't think that's a hole shot. Just another great race. And, to get that car win, the brakes car with all the promotions we got going on during the month of May. I just left headquarters here in Napa and Atlanta, delivered the trophy, and they said, you're allowed to run the car again in Richmond. They're going to let us.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's just a few minutes ago they told me that. I'd asked them Sunday in my interview on Fox Sports 1. I said, please let us run this car again. The fans love it. So I'm looking forward to Richmond now.
Oh, that is great. A huge victory, big win. Get on the board. Of course, you guys, you're in a crew celebrating in a way that you guys, let it all hang out there in the winner's circle. That is a very fun experience to witness and see. And so now you're on the board. And so how does that feel? Like, when you break through for a season? Because, more come after the first comes. The first one seems to probably be always the toughest.
Yeah, on a lot of fronts. We needed to get a win. We needed confidence. But more than anything else, for Don Schumacher, we've, and I said it yesterday, we've sucked basically at DSR, this first part of the season. And, our fans are very, very rabid. They're very loyal. And I know what it's like when I cheer for my favorite team. And when all the DSR cars are, we've won some races here and there with funny cars and dragsters, but we just haven't, we have all the stuff that Don gives us. We have all the technology. We have all the brains. And we just haven't, for our standards, done what we've done in the past, and that is put cars in the winner's circle and sometimes doubled up. So I hate seeing Don walk around the starting line and walk away from the starting line without a win. And so it was nice to give him a win, especially Napa Auto Parts and the promotion we're doing for May. That was huge. But more than anything else for my guys who, we've tested, we've done all this, we've listened to other people talk about how we're struggling, and we watched the TV, the power rankings, all that stuff, and you're just like, okay, how long am I going to have to say, look, we're struggling, but we're going to be there later in the year? And so it really felt good to get a win.
There you go. Now, looking at the point standings, assuming everything's updated at the moment, which I would imagine it is, you're 7th, but really just 2 rounds out of being in a battle for 2nd. And that's the kind of year that Robert and Jimmy have had to this point. Everybody else is pretty tightly packed, 2nd on back.
Yeah, and we've done that. We've, look at the last half a decade where there's been times when we've had that lead. And there's times when that team, Robert and Jimmy, have had that lead. And so whatever happens, I really feel the momentum that we can jump up in the points. And it's going to be fun to try to chase down Robert and Jimmy. And who knows what's going to happen with them throughout the year. I mean, they always seem to be there. But, again, you got the Wilkersons, you got Cruz, you got other people that you just don't know what's going to happen with them, and they can step up. So I always, for my teammates, they're still the best cars in the pit area, I think, racing. And it's going to be fun for the fans. It's going to be some good racing through September until the countdown starts. And, again, we're going to have some teams that aren't going to make the countdown. And so, like you just said, a couple of weeks ago, we're 9th in points. Man, it was like, wow, this is strange for us. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
It is going to be fun to watch, and I'm glad you guys were able to get this victory out there. Atlanta Dragway, the 39th edition Arby's Southern Nationals. I know you got to enjoy a little Arby's in the winner's circle. I was feeding all weekend long. It was actually very fun and kind of a cool experience to have them out there. Next race, Richmond. What are you doing in between now and then?
Well, tomorrow we head to the Bahamas for a birthday party for a friend of ours, which we were heading Monday, but I got to go to Napa headquarters today and do that. And we're going to fly for a few days there. We got Cub Barnett, who's a long-time drag racer, had passed away earlier in the year. I'm going to fly home on Friday and fly up to Sonoma for his service. He's inducted into the Hall of Fame earlier in the year, and it was a bummer we lost him. So I'm going to head up to Sonoma and meet up with a bunch of the old school racers there for his service on Friday, and then off to Richmond. There's only 2 tracks that I haven't won at on race day anyway, and that's Indy and Richmond. And that's an amazing stat considering all the people I've gotten to drive for and work for. So it'd be nice to get a win there in Richmond. It's a great facility we saw last year with the track surface, just how nice that was and how great a racetrack surface they put down. So that's going to be my off week. Of course, Mother's Day, so everybody stay home and take care of their moms.
Absolutely. So let me ask you now, and I've been teasing you about this. Are you only 1 episode behind in Game of Thrones, or are you now 2 episodes behind?
Dude, as we speak, I'm going back to the hotel room. My wife and I are going to close the curtains, and on my tablet, we're going to pull up the last 2 episodes, and we're going to knock them out.
You got to do it.
We've been really good about not knowing any spoilers, so I can't wait.
I'm so excited for you because I watched
We are huge. Let me tell you, Joe. I know you are as well.
Yes.
We are so big of fans that we print out the families and where they're from, who's trying to conquer who. We have this whole map set up so we can keep track, and that's what we do when we watch the show. That's how big a Game of Thrones fans we are.
You know what,
It's
Ron,
been tough traveling.
Thank goodness, because honestly, I consider myself a really diehard drag racing fan. Like, I love this stuff, but I also love a lot of other stuff too. And so I've been going through this Game of Thrones experience, and it can be stressful, right? Like, it's a stress sometimes. Like, you get to know someone early on, and you're like, this person's great, I like them, and then they're gone in a horrible way. And and so to know that there's a lot of other drag racers out there. Lewis Bloom told me that you're down into it. I know Angel is into it. Steve Torrence, Natalie told me they watch every episode. Torrence said he was like, I don't want to reveal anything what you're about to get into, but you got a lot of entertainment ahead of you, my friend. So I want to hear what you think afterwards.
Yeah, and plus we had Mark and Chris from Ozark that were at the race, and at this weekend in Atlanta, which I'm huge fans of the Ozark show, and of course. Mark was in Homeland, another great show that we watch. And these 2 guys were filming in Atlanta and came out to the race and hung out. And they ended up hanging out in the winner's circle, getting pictures with us. And and celebrating with me and Tobler and the guys. So that was really cool.
Yes, and Killer Mike, too. Killer Mike is a rapper. He's got a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Those two, though, were shocking to me. And, I have not seen Ozark, but I know about it. I had someone pitching it to me.
Oh, my gosh.
I hear it's great.
You got to watch it.
I like Jason Bateman a lot. Jason Bateman, since
me too.
Grew up with Jason Bateman. So anyway, normally celebs, actors, whatever, they come out and they watch a round or maybe two, and then they leave. They got other stuff. These two dudes stuck it out the whole time till the very end,
yeah.
Even to the winner's circle.
Let me tell you.
It's crazy.
Yep. They even shared a swig of our favorite celebration Mexican cacti liquor.
That we will not say what it
awesome.
is. That is cool. And in fact, I hear that they were even like, has anyone done a documentary on this stuff? And you know what it tells us, though? It tells us that as common as the sport may become to us, you have made your life in this thing for the past 30 years, and I've been around it and a fan. It is still new to so many people out there. Haven't even gotten a whiff of Nitro once, and they have to be our target.
Yeah, it's just great. Somebody going to their first hockey game, NHL. It's the same feeling. It's the same cool look that you get to see from somebody when they witness our sport for the first time, and that's my favorite thing.
Great stuff. Ron, have fun out there. Congratulations on this win. 11 consecutive seasons with a win, 62nd overall. You're on the board for 2019, and you get to run the black car at the next race. All cool things. Congratulations. And I got to be on WFO. Oh, my goodness.
Automatic.
So true. Yeah, I didn't even have a choice. Yep. You won your way on.
Yeah, man.
That's great. I love that you feel that way too. Thank you for that.
And this is when you play my cousin Donnie's WFO shout out, right?
Right now.
Right now.
Here it is. I'll simulate Donnie.
WFO! Yeah!
Right on.
There you go. Ron, have fun, be safe, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, dude. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Ron. Ron Capps with us here on WFO Radio. And, maybe he's got the Game of Thrones episode under his belt just yet. I don't know. It's long, man. Ron's a busy guy. He's going here, he's going there, going to Napa headquarters. Had a cool couple of minutes with those guys in the winner's circle. You can see them on my Facebook page. Hopefully you are already connected to the WFO Facebook page. Been posting a lot of cool photography on there from our friend Doug Elwell, who is a lifelong friend to me, who goes to many races and shoots Nitro at night. That's like a hobby of his. He goes and shoots Nitro for his, amateur photographer passion, and loves drag racing, and so has been uploading and photographing photos of just Nitro cars from various races from various seasons. And I was like, hey, man, post them on the Facebook page. And he has been, and you guys have been liking him a lot. Well, if you're a personal friend of mine, you see every once in a while I take photos at the races and posted some great ones from the winner's circle. Seeing Rahn Tobler tooting the horn that Gary Pritchett brings out every time Steve Torrence wins, that was really cool. Just cool moments, man. Cool moments. And at the tail end of the show, and I haven't promoted it just yet. In fact, let's just go to it right now. The winner's circle from Ron Capps. Let's stop talking about it and start listening. I was called on the carpet by Chris Afflerbach, who said, Joe, why aren't you doing the interviews you normally do? And the answer was I'm exhausted, man. Why don't you do them? And this is what we produced. All right, and just like that, I thought I was not working anymore, but now I'm working again.
See, when you got a podcast, you never get rid of a podcast.
I know, it's always happening.
I
was
on the clock,
right? I'm on the clock. We're all on the clock.
Hey, we drank
this
on the
is
clock
Chris,
around here.
A.K.A. Booger from the Napa team, and Dave Fletcher, who is a track specialist.
We're going to bring you in here too, Fletch.
Yeah, that's it.
What am I saying?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you
West Ham, baby.
Ask Dave, what he did today that helped make a difference for you.
Dave just stands there.
He doesn't do anything? You're the track specialist. You specialize in the track.
And this has been a struggle this weekend. Track's really not that good, and you can tell that from the ETs that the cars are running. But you still got to run as good as you possibly can. And, it's been hot. It's Atlanta. It's bumpy.
It's always tricky.
And,
always tricky.
We prevailed.
Dave, you're from Alabama, right?
East Alabama, yeah.
There it is.
Let me see this phone. Let's change this interview, right?
Okay.
So, Joe.
Oh, uh-oh.
I know it's your own show,
yes,
but we're going to put you on the spot now.
I'm ready. I live on the spot.
So what made you want to do this?
Do what? Come over and have drinks with you guys?
Well, everybody wants to have drinks with us.
Oh, okay.
But, because you said this is like your, fourth Atlanta?
Maybe longer. As long as I've been working with
So
NHRA.
What made you want to
ATL.
come and be a broadcaster?
Oh, well, listen. First of all, I have a lot to say. I'm a very talkative person. And
we got to go. The time's up. Okay.
Do you have any Arby's for me to eat?
Yeah, right.
Or sell or push? No, but seriously, I love drag racing. My dad.
The beef and cheddar.
And I love the beef and cheddar.
Right.
We have the meats.
No, it's the French dip, bro. It's the French dip.
Is that your approved
French
thing?
dip.
Get Tobler. You go over and interview Tobler. Do it.
No.
No, you got to go.
What?
Go do it. It's right here.
Wait.
So
we're on
crew member.
We're on this radio show of Joe's here.
WFO.
Joe has a radio show?
Joe,
Podcast,
yeah.
really.
Oh.
Yeah.
Podcast here.
It's better.
So I guess I'm in.
Sold popcorn in the concession area. No,
I thought he did.
Okay.
But
Anyway,
somehow he skeezed his way in here.
He skeezed his way in here. Yeah. Okay.
So
you got it.
So how did we do this today?
We just in the end we let Ron drive in the final. We didn't try to press it. We didn't want to do anything stupid. My exact quote to D was, "Let's just let the guy drive."
Bingo.
Now, are you aware of this when it's going down?
No,
when they're
he's not. He's out there working.
Dude, I'm just getting her done.
Right.
Hoping it goes. We're just going rounds at a time, baby.
And you went rounds, and Ron drove in the final.
He did.
He got the job done.
Hey, Caps earned it for us.
2 years ago with Wilkerson, whole shot in the final.
Yeah. You guys have beat John Force 4 years in a row at this race.
That's what I hear.
Do you know
That's
that?
what I hear. That's pretty spectacular.
Something that's in your mind?
No.
That's pretty sweet.
No. We had our best run of the day against
Aren't you supposed to drive it back to the
No,
pits?
I'm going to. He's not driving it back.
You sure?
Oh, no.
They're still doing photos.
All right. Oh, yeah, he's doing it. Okay, so here's one for you. Like, this is a serious thing, though. The word got out that, like, many crew chiefs that you have helped in the past came to visit you, like, made a call this past weekend, last night, to just,
We had some struggles.
What is that like, though, for you to see all these people you've helped, like, come back?
That's what it's all about. I need JC, I need Dickie, I need Hop. Hop came over. Hop came over when we were testing on Monday in Charlotte. So it's just all a great group of guys. We all think and do things alike. And, it's what it's all about. I mean, you're friends.
That's great stuff. Chris, you should wrap it up.
That's what it's all about.
Take us to break on WFO.
So this is Booger from the Napa Funny Car. Fire! Boom. When there's smoke, there's fire! Oh, that was sweet, Joe.
Come on,
that was
my
sweet,
voice.
Joe.
It's 3 days of talking, man.
So anyway,
3 days of talking.
I got Joe Castello to come out from retirement to do this podcast. As cheesy as this podcast probably sounds, but this is Booger from the Ron Caps, Napa Funny Car. Signing off. Here's Joe Castello.
And there you have it, folks, from the winner's circle. What's better than that? I can't think of anything.
Booyah, baby.
And so there you get it from Rahn Tobler and Chris Afflerbach and those guys, Booger, right? And a whole lot of fun. That's one of the cooler things we've done, and I appreciate those guys wanting to be on the show. And that's what it's really about. There are crew members on each team that listen to WFO, not all of them, but a couple. And, they don't know necessarily that I want to do as much of that stuff as possible. It's just about time. And so when someone like Booger says, Joe, do it, I'm down. And that was pretty cool. Dave Fletcher, who is track specialist for DSR, it was really cool. And how about Tobe? Tobler was just awesome. And a big win for those guys. And a big win. And it was real cool seeing them with the Capco boys horn going crazy. And that's why you fans, I don't know why everybody doesn't stick around for the winner's circle. You should all be sticking around for the winner's circle every single time, always. It's the coolest time. Yeah, you got to go beat the traffic. I got to go sit in my car, beat the traffic. You get home 30 minutes later. Big deal. But hey, don't go. You don't have to go, right? We don't want it being overcrowded. It's like Yogi Berra said. Nobody goes to that place anymore. It's too crowded, right? Thanks to those guys. Thanks, Booger. Good job, man. Fun. Not cheesy at all. Anyway, all right. We've got Andrew Hines going to be up next. Mike Castellana is on the show. And then my time at the tail end of the show where I'll tell you what I'm doing this weekend, talk a little bit about pro stock and some other things. All coming up. But right now, I got to tell you about Frank Hawley's drag racing school. The Dragster Adventure. Look, why do these people do this? What is the point of it all? And the answer is it's fun as can be. Accelerating hard down a racetrack in a dragster is so much fun, but how would you possibly know? How could you know? You're not going to go buy a dragster. You're not going to go buy all the safety equipment, get out there. Maybe your little Mustang will run in the 11s, but that's not the same. And you can skip all the nonsense and go right to Frank Hawley's and drive a dragster that belongs to them. They provide everything. They're going around the country. They're coming in near you, and you can cut all the out of the way and just get behind the wheel. And that's what the Dragster Adventure is all about. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. 130 in the quarter mile. Maybe even side-by-side drag racing if you like. You got to talk to them about it. 866-480-7223. Make this the time that I was compelling enough to convince you to stop the nonsense and drive a dragster. Feel and understand what's going on with all of these racers around the country and why they love it so much. Courses start at $399. Is that a lot? Is it a little? It's not a lot for what you're getting. An experience that you'll remember for the rest of your life. The interaction with Frank Hawley and the staff, the fact that you can do a burnout. You can do a burnout. You make a half track and 2 full track passes, and the staging of the car and the hitting the light and the going down the track and the holding it in the groove and the shutdown area, the turnoff and the debrief with Frank Hawley. So worth it. So worth it. Where are they going? They're going to Baytown, baby. Houston Raceway in Baytown, powered by Pennzoil. They're going to Woodburn Drag Strip. They're going to Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. They're going to Maple Grove Raceway, Reading, Pennsylvania, baby, August 16th. They're going to Auto Club Dragway on October 18th. Go to the website, frankhawley.com. Click Dragster Adventure to find out more, or just call them, 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Tell them you heard about it on WFO. When we come back, Andrew Hines after this.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me.
Why do you listen?
WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amelie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amelie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Hey, this is Joe Castello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine published by the most passionate of drag racing fans.
who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to competitionplus.com.
Hey, what's up, WFO Universe? It's Kathy Fisher. Join me along with Joe Castello every Sunday morning on Motor Trend for Performance TV. That's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back, NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio. And we are rolling, baby. We are rolling through our winners from the Arby's Southern Nationals. Whole lot of fun was had out there. Yeah, we did lose a session to rain, which was annoying, but it is what it is, and we got the race in. Next race out there in Richmond. But it was a huge, huge race. We're going to speak with Andrew Hines momentarily, but right now I want to tell you about HanksToFurs.com and HanksToFurs metalworking lubricants. HanksToFurs products offer consistent and reliable performance and the best available value. What are they trying to do? They are trying to improve your metalworking processes so you'll have longer lasting tools that work faster in your shop, in your factory, wherever you happen to work. Here's what you got to do. Go to HanksToFurs.com or call them at 800-433-LUBE. Of course, we would love if you told them you heard about it on WFO Radio Podcast. That would be great. But most importantly, we're trying to improve your situation. They've got more than 100 affiliates throughout the world. They've got a global network that can help you figure out your challenges. Whatever your needs, they have the best products to improve your metalworking processes. They've been around since 1937, and they are all across the world and have technical expertise to maximize your performance. So go to HanksToFurs.com or give them a call, 800-433-LUBE. And if you think about it, they're one of the few things that most race teams agree upon. HanksToFurs.com, HanksToFurs metalworking lubricants, and Zach Sackman picking up a big top dragster win out there in Columbus. All right, time for the bikes. Joining us now, he is the winner of the 100th race for Harley-Davidson motorcycles in the National Hot Rod Association, a huge milestone, and it was the number one of the Fast Five, which is pretty cool. Andrew Hines joins us now. Andrew, congratulations.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to talk to you again. It's like we're becoming great friends again.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that weird how that happened? We had this wonderful relationship a few years ago, and then you left us for some reason.
Like we broke up.
Exactly. But now you're back. And the 100th win for Harley. I know it was a team thing, but you guys each had to really, really want that like historic position forever. And I think it's really fitting that you got it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I was really in the back of my mind. I wasn't vocalizing it too much, but the back of my mind, I really wanted to be the one to achieve that feat. You know, I was the guy that won the first one back in 2004, and man, we've had such a great run over the years. I was really, really eager to want to be that winner. So it worked out. I mean, I had a great motorcycle all weekend long, and I felt confident. When you can feel that confident and the motorcycle performs, it leads to great things on Sundays.
So in the multitude of interviews we have now done here in 2019, there's a couple of things that I recall that stick out. Like, for instance, after the Gator Nationals, you talked about how you really you had focused on your fitness and you had kind of like fought your way out of a little bit of a mental funk, but also the new chassis. And all these things are kind of converging to create this success. This race, you said that the chassis couldn't have been better. It's just driving off the line and powering down the racetrack. That combined with your, confidence and the fact that you were able to break through for 50 and all these things seem to be working together.
Yeah, it is all working together, and it's clicking really, really well. I mean, the team's doing a fabulous job making sure everything's 100%. Like I said, we did have that one snafu in Vegas 4-wide final that who knows if that power wire would have stayed connected, who knows what would have happened. Maybe another win, but it's I guess stuff happens for a reason. Ultimately, coming through adversity like that with having a problem makes us better. It makes us learn and make sure that we're not just complacent. So the guys, they're going over these things all the time to make sure that they are perfect. And everything. Every now and then you do have something that falls through the cracks, but hey, it's part of racing, I guess. So, but with the motorcycle working the way it is, and my Harley, it's going so straight down the racetrack. And now in this day and age of pro stock motorcycle with the level of competition, you have to be as close to perfect runs as possible. I mean, we're never going to make a perfect run. You can ask us, we won't. But it's just one of those things that if you're not throwing away thousands, even on a racetrack, that's as good as you can get. Because, I mean, we're coming up inches at the finish line with people next to us most of the time. So, any little corrections, they can get amplified into hundreds really fast. So my motorcycle, my street rod's been fantastic. It's like if I could close my eyes and keep the throttle open, I would make it to the finish line. That's how confident I am right now.
Wow, that is impressive. Round one, you went up against Melissa Serber. You qualified second. Eddie was first. Went 687.2 with an 045 light, and Melissa 011 to her credit, and I want to see her keep doing better and better. I think the category will be better off with her out there and doing well. But you get through that, and then you got to go up against Flying Ryan, who I find it to be interesting, among all this. And I want to thank you, by the way, for that deep dive that we went through last week about, the hobby racer versus the building their own engines. Flying Ryan has got his own engine program, and I didn't really fully understand that. I went over and chatted with him, and he laid it all out. They're making some ground over there. They've got themselves a pretty quick and fast bike, but you were able to get through him as well.
Yeah, they got some good power. He got out of Atlanta with top speed of the weekend too, so that's making a statement nowadays. You got the Arana camp and Matt Smith camp and our guys that we typically run really, really good speed, and for him to come out of there with top speed of the weekend is pretty phenomenal. So they've made huge strides, and he was doing such a good job last year from coming from the beginning and working his way up all the way through the season. It's unfortunate he didn't wind up with the Rookie of the Year deal. He was my front runner in my mind for sure, and he's showing that this year he was a contender, and he's going to continue to be there for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, I tend to agree. I understand why a Nitro driver will get it every now and again, but Ryan is going to go out there and win a race at some point. I have no doubt, because he's got an intensity, and it's not like he's out here to just be a part of it. But you got through him, you got around him, and then setting up a big battle against Hector Jr. in the semifinals. So here we are. This is a classic rivalry, and off the starting line, 1,000 head start to you, or 1,000 advantage to you, and an 89. So you went an 87, an 88, and an 89 as the temperature was really skyrocketing. Semifinals had to be the worst of the day.
Yeah, it was definitely getting warm, and you're right, it was the worst of the day. And also the headwind was picking up all throughout the day as well. It kind of started as more of a left to right crosswind, kind of favoring a headwind at the beginning of the day. But man, as the day went on, it was just more and more straight in our face. And that's just that's tough for motorcycles, because we're all inherently not as aerodynamic as a car, so we're pushing a lot more wind because the rider is a part of the aero package. So when you're going 195 like we were on Sunday, it feels like you're going 220 because it's you got all that extra wind on you. Because typically a really good event, when all the motorcycles are flying and going 200 plus miles an hour, we have a tailwind. Well, when you got the tailwind and you're going 200, you feel like you're cruising along at 190, but it turns in your face, and it lets you know that the Mother Nature's there, and you got to cut through that wind. So you got to make gearing changes for that. And luckily, we had the tune-up spot on pretty much all day, and it worked out, and we were able to get around Hector Jr. He's a tough guy. He's working hard to make those motorcycles fast. He's got his bike 60-footing really, really well, and it was nice to leave the starting line with him. I knew I had to do something because first round and second round of eliminations, I didn't have spectacular lights, and not to say a 32 spectacular either, but that track was unforgiving on reaction time. It was very, very hard to go quicker than 30 on the tree. And so you saw Jerry popping up some teens, but he's always pretty good on the tree. But man, I rolled my fingertips back. I treated that thing like it was harder than a final, just trying to get as most all the thousandths I could out of the reaction time. And luckily I was able to come up 32 and charge on down the track for a win.
And there you have it. And then the semis, you mentioned Jerry. It's you and Jerry, who had threatened to be on a part-time schedule this year. I'm really glad that he hasn't. I like those guys a lot. And, I know Karen's on one of their bikes now, but Jerry's got a certain charm. I know he gets his power from Vance and Hines, and then they do their own tune-ups and everything. You guys battled for a championship a few years ago. But, Jerry's a character. Love him being out there. You got to run him the final round. You guys leave pretty much together. He actually had a 2,000 advantage. But best run of the day in the final round, 86 with a 5 at 195, and really seizing that 100th win for Harley. Big deal.
It was a big deal. The thing that I'm probably more proud about than anything on any of the other runs that we made all weekend long was in the final. My dad, he hates it. Even if we win, he hates it if we run bad in the final round. If we slow up or do something to not improve and then lose, it's even worse. We come back and we get an earful of it. But if we come back and make a good run in the final round, even if we lose, we could make a respectable run. But when we come back and make low ET of race day, that is just he grins from ear to ear after we do that. So the final round, I mean, majority of it was had back in 60 foot. I was in the mid 106 range all throughout race day, and the final, man, 105.4, which is pretty phenomenal for our team. We're not typically 60 foot leaders of the class, so to go up against Jerry, who does a good job riding that thing and getting it down the racetrack, and Tim, who's got this clutch pretty much on par. To out 60 foot them and keep our street rod hooked up all the way down the racetrack was great. I mean, we put up, that was my best 60 foot time, I think, of the entire season, maybe even through testing and everything. We may have had a 105 somewhere else along the way, but I popped the clutch and I saw the bulbs go off on the tree. I'm like, okay, we're pretty even. And I just felt my Harley just charging through first gear. I'm like, hey, this thing's doing what we wanted it to do. We were trying to hop it up a little bit in first gear and get it to turn the tire, and it worked, responded, and luckily it didn't shake the tire. And we learned from the tune-up from the second round in the semis and made the right calls, which we thought we were going mostly the right way through eliminations, and it turned out in the final we went a little bit back the direction of first round, and I went from 87 first round to an 86 in the final, and you attribute that to the leave. But seeing that win light come on, man, it was just a feeling of pure excitement. I mean, 100 wins for Harley Davidson. They've been involved with our sport for 15, 16 years now as a official motorcycle and supporter of Vance and Hines. So they're a great partner. We've worked really well with them over the years. We look forward to the success we're going to have in the future with them as well. Everything's been clicking, and man, it's like a family relationship we have with those guys. We get such an outpouring of congratulatory emails and phone calls and text messages after a race win, and there was no shortcomings in that one. People were over the moon with getting that 100th win for Harley.
Very exciting, and you don't have to carry that banner around anymore.
Exactly. That's we had that thing produced after the Charlotte 4-wide win. We're thinking, if something happens and we don't have this here, we gotta immortalize this for Harley Davidson in some way. So luckily Terry Vance brought it with him to the racetrack over the weekend, and we didn't even look at it. We didn't take it out of the box. It just sat there, and I was hoping that was not going to be something that was going to prevent us from winning. Some little curse in the back of our trailer that would be a nightmare for who knows how long. But we were able to knock it out that weekend, and thankfully we don't have to worry about that again.
There you go. The banner was actually good luck. Let me ask you about a couple other things. Angel, we brought the guys from Arby's over to see the team and everything, and they were blown away, and Angel was super cool with them. But while we were speaking with them, she laid it out that she's, she didn't say struggling, but she says she's challenged by riding the bike and keeping it straight down the track and the air and the arrow and all that. And she's trying to figure it out and sort it out. Just take me through that a little bit and the progress that she is making. You've told us in the media center that her bike is just so different than what you and Eddie are running because of where and how the weight is distributed throughout the bike. Are we going to be able to get her going?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be able to get her going. And, we're looking forward to Richmond. That's a nice flat as far as camber on the racetrack or, angle from one lane to the next. There's not a whole lot there. It's smooth. It's always good traction. Last year there with the inaugural race, it was fantastic with that new racing surface. So she's going to be good. It's just, it's taking her longer than she would have anticipated and really would have wanted to get up to par. But hey, she got her first round win out of the way. Unfortunately, she did have to abort in that run, but she had a motorcycle in qualifying that showed she could go fast. And, she was fourth of the last qualifying session. So, and she had room for improvement on that run. So I think people are starting to take note that, hey, she's going to be a serious contender. She's on a motorcycle that's proven to be as fast as it can be, as fast as our other two. And we just got to, put the whole package together. I mean, the runs that Eddie and myself are making are really, really good. And hers are, she's still coming along. like I said earlier in the interview, it's just, you got to go straight. If you're leaned over at 330 on, it's just scrubbing horsepower out of these things. So her biggest holdback probably right now is, she is smaller and her motorcycle's heavier. So she doesn't have the weight behind her. It's not so much a strength thing. She just doesn't have the physical mass up top to help it correct sooner. So she has to be lightning quick on when that thing makes a twitch one way or another. She has to be on top of it. And she's doing a pretty good job of it, but it's unfortunately not reacting as quickly as it could. Just the probably the extra 15 pounds is making it tougher for her to ride it. Maybe we could do something different, but I'm not sure. It's kind of dumbfounding right now, every now and then, to see that thing not go as straight as it could. But we're working towards it. If she struggles in Richmond, we're going to hang around and test and bring her back here to Indy and do some stuff that, just focus on run after run after run. So we get that down, then the tuning will come along with it. Just we want to see her perform. We want to see her win. I was thinking, man, we're going to roll into Atlanta and Angele's going to sneak the 100th win from Eddie and myself.
Listen, I was thinking about that too. Like, what if that would happen? Would you guys be happy? Of course you'd be happy, but
absolutely happy.
But come on, we would all understand if you would also be slightly annoyed as competitors. Come on, you guys got 99 wins, and then she gets one.
Yeah, it would be one of those things you just have to shake your head about and laugh and think, here's the time that she came along. But she's going to be good. She's determined. She's a fighter, and we're going to give her the best motorcycle we possibly can every single time up there. I'm really happy with how her motorcycle's leaving the starting line. We're going to get after it here in Richmond to really try and make that thing turn the tire and put her at the top of the sheet every single run when she pops the clutch. So we'll get her hopefully another 100th there, and she'll charge down the racetrack and make sure that she can be a contender at the front with us.
It'll be interesting. I like watching someone like Angele go through this process. I know she probably doesn't like it and would have been much better to just get on the bike and have instant success. But I have no doubt she's going to get there. And when that happens, she will have accomplished like the most amazing thing. And it's going to be so great to watch her go through and celebrate. All right, next question. When is Eddie going to get the new chassis?
It is in the works right now. So I did a Facebook Live thing through Vance and Hines earlier today, and you can actually see in the video, I sneak up on Mike Mullaney while he's welding some stuff on Eddie's chassis, and we're taking his race body, mounting it to that bike as we speak. We're anticipating it'll be done here early next week. We maybe even get a chance to go test it on Tuesday out at Lucas Oil Raceway. So if we don't, he's going to be Q1, T1 come Friday in Richmond. So it will, one way or another, be at that racetrack, ready to go racing for the next NHRA national event.
That is great news. Going to be interesting to see how that all works out. And finally, from what I understand, the first ever pro stock motorcycle school, it's not a Nitro school because it's not Nitro, it's pro stock motorcycle school, happened out there. You were on stage with Brian Loans and, holding up parts and pieces and keeping fans interested in what's going on with the pro stock motorcycles. I thought it was pretty cool. Give us a summary of what went down, and did you get any interesting questions, and what did you demonstrate?
Yeah, that was a great time. Brian and I have just had some banter back and forth trying to enlighten the minds of the fans on what it takes to get a pro stock motorcycle down the track versus a Nitro car. So ours is about finesse and small little nuances that make these things go really quick. The perfect runs are the ones that'll put up a quick ET and a fast speed. And we've just had to, explain to fans, it's about precision. These things are like darts. You gotta fly down the track as straight as possible. And any inconsistencies on going straight or fighting these things, it looks cool on TV when you're hanging off and you got one knee hanging out and elbows out and a chicken wing and a head bobbing up and down. But man, those are the ones that you work for, and then you don't get any reward at the end because it's nice and slow. So we talk to the fans about shifting, how we shift with a shift button on the handlebars, and the air is stored in the chassis. There's no extra tank we're carrying down the track. We talked about gearing and sprocket changes and weather related, and why we would change the gearing throughout the weekend, with headwind or tailwind and then we talked, one fan was asking about steering these things. So how do we keep them going straight down the racetrack? Well, it's about positioning your body weight off to one side. You don't turn the handlebars. You don't try to lean the bike over. you just maneuver your bike down the track. And we also steer with the rear steer. So a few fans were interested to know that, typically you think you'd bolt the wheel on the bike and you'd want it straight with where you're going, but we actually cock it one side to the other as much as a quarter inch sometimes to make sure these motorcycles are going down the track as straight as possible. And we get in a crosswind, that's when things get ugly. So, like Dallas and Chicago are notably bad for crosswinds. And heck, I've had 5/16 of an inch of stagger from one side to the other just to make sure the bike's going to go straight when you hit that crosswind.
Wow.
The fan reaction was really cool. It was cool to see. We started off with a fairly small crowd. I mean, it's not a well-known deal. It was the first time we had Pro Stock Motorcycle School. But as we've talked and more people came along, man, we had well over 100 people there, I think, towards the end that were just, I think they were kind of enamored with learning about Pro Stock motorcycles. It was really cool to be the ambassador for all of the class. I was talking about the other makes and models and brands and engine combinations and just trying to really enlighten the mind about everybody, not try to be biased and just go out there and educate people. That was actually a really fun deal, and I hope I get a chance to do it again.
That is awesome.
I know we'll continue it on from race to race. If hopefully I did a good enough job for me to be the ambassador.
Wow. Well, listen, no, we can't assume that people understand anything, and that's over the years I'm learning. Every single race, like the Arby's executives we brought around, they loved the bikes. They're like, wow, just looking at the fact that you guys are up on top of it and holding on to it and nothing holds you on there. That's the kind of thing that, like, the average human, right, who doesn't understand drag racing, but you bring them out there and you say, look at this, they're going to really connect with it. And so good job with that, and I want to see more in the future. And, I'll put a word in for you, see if we can get you out there again. Very good.
Sounds great, yeah.
Andrew, congratulations. Another milestone victory, 51st of your career. You keep doing it this way, it'll be real easy to keep track. Richmond coming up in 2 weeks. Good luck. I'll see you out there. Eddie will be on the new chassis. A lot of good stuff going on. Thank you for coming on WFO for a full debrief session.
Yeah, love it, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Andrew Hines, the 100th win for Harley-Davidson. He got the job done, 51st of his career. Giant victory for Andrew Hines. All right, when we come back, it's going to be Mike Castellana. I got to tell you about HusseyPerformance.net, though. Whether your copperhead gaskets are absolutely custom or exactly what they were from the factory, the design, Hussey Performance has got it in stock or can make it. So you're going to want to go to HusseyPerformance.net and check out what they've got going on. David Allen and the team have got this whole situation figured out because they have been doing it for over 40 years. They know exactly where and how to purchase copper at the tightest tolerances. If you build engines, if you race cars, if you need that extra seal, give them a call. 724-318-8292. 724-318-8292. David personally inspects every single gasket that they ship. And one more thing, everything is made in America, including all their machines, which is big. So from nitro burning Hemis to turbocharged Pro Mods to tractor pull engines or even Honda engines, whatever you need, Hussey Performance makes the gaskets. Got to check them out. That's HusseyPerformance.net. Speaking of Pro Mod, we'll have Mike Castellana after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, Joe here, and I hereby decree on behalf of the WFO universe, the winter is over, which means it's time to grill. Get yourself some Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, barbecue spice rub, hot sauce, and of course, incredible coffee. They've got the WFO Radio Blend, they've got the Bang the Blower, they've got the exotics. It's all roasted fresh per your order, representing the top 5% of coffee throughout the world. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or give Marvin a call. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Scott Palmer, driver of the NHRA Cat Spot Litter Top Fuel Dragster. Do you have a cat? Go to catspotlitter.com, order it today. All natural product made out of coconuts, 100% biodegradable. All you NHRA fan, cat owners, support our team. Go to catspotlitter.com.
This is Jeff Rice, a.k.a. Deep and Hot. I just want to let you know that NHRA Nitro is probably the best coverage of NHRA drag racing, period. How can you not like a 3.5-hour broadcast with all the winners specifically for drag racing? WFO rules the airwaves.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, NHRA Nitro podcast. Been going for 10 years with this podcast. It's taken us all this time to get to where we are. My story is such that, broadcast radio for many, many years, and started the podcast because I wanted to be able to know what I was going to do, like next year and the year after, working from my, home in South Florida. And it has grown to this, and really got me the job at the NHRA, and got me the job at Performance TV on Motor Trend, and get me other things. And I appreciate having you guys as listeners, and I love it. And the fact that you guys love to listen to various things. So audible.com/WFO Nitro only makes sense. That's our promo code that they give us. And you're a listener, whether it be audiobooks, and there's all kinds of great features. You can switch devices, and you can return if you don't like, all that. But in the end, listen, WFO Nitro, audible.com/WFO Nitro. It's an Amazon company. That's all you need to know. If you're into the idea of listening, use our promo code instead of someone else's. Simple as that. All right. My Time, presented by patreon.com/WFO Radio, coming up, but we got to check in with Pro Modified. Next up, let's check in with the E3 Sparkplugs Pro Modified Series winner. And wow, what a start to the season. Very tough stuff, and he's back in the winner's circle, Mike Castellana. Mike, welcome back to WFO Radio. First time in a while. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a little while, but everything worked out pretty good this weekend.
Yes. So what is it like, being so successful? You having Frank there. He hasn't been there the whole season, but he came back. And I really don't understand the details of that, but I know that you guys are back together now. But to DNQ, that's brutal. I know it happens to a lot of people in Pro Mod, but it doesn't happen to you guys very often.
Yeah, well, the first race it started out, we had a little issue. The wheel bearings broke. And it caused that mishap.
Is that, oh, really? So it seized up or locked up because the rear got torn out of the car?
Yeah, supposedly the ceramic bearings that they were using, they broke. So, it just, once they broke, I had no control over it. And I guess, from the video, you could see what happened. It just turned the car to the left. And then I was actually, before I knew it, I was sliding backwards. And all I was thinking was, okay, I'm not touching any walls. This is good. We can get ready for the next qualifier. And then I guess I didn't know the wheel was off, and it just twisted inside and sent me into the wall. And that was the end of that. And then the next two races, working with Frank, we got a converter in the car now, which we're used to doing the clutch. So it took us a little bit to get the handle of it, but finally everything worked out this race, and we came out on top.
The converter, we've seen everyone go that way. And as much as it's not as cool to drive that, right? But it's the technology. It's the technology that's working. You clearly adapted. Yeah. Talk a little bit about how it's different.
It's a lot simpler, really. You just you're doing your burnout basically. You're bleeding out the air in the system. You're backing up. You're staging with a trans brake, and you're letting go. There's no clutch. There's nothing. It's I guess what you have to do to evolve with the times, but I'm more happier and comfortable with the clutch. Personally, I think the class should just be an all clutch class. That would really even things out. If, when they have issues with parity, I think the clutch would just, take all that out. It's just, I don't know. It took kind of a little bit of the fun out of driving also.
I've heard that. I know. I have heard that, and I know we see it. There's a couple of cars that run converters, an alcohol funny car, and it's just not as cool as with the clutch. But hey, it is what it is, and it's not the first time technology has kind of changed the nature of the racing. Let's talk about your race day. In that you were the number 9 qualifier in a field that was just insanity. It was everyone was right over the top of each other. Tough conditions in qualifying. Lost to Session. You have to go up against Brandon Snyder, first round, 0.27 reaction time, and you win the race.
Yeah, well, in qualifying, we didn't do as good as we wanted to do. We know we have the power. We're just working on applying it right, which is a little different with these converters. But we were pretty happy to at least get into the field. We know, once you're in the fight, you can win the fight. If you're not in it, there's nothing you can do from there. So Frank made his adjustments for first round, and we got by that. We just kept going.
Yeah.
Second round, I believe. Go ahead.
Jeremy Ray was your second round race, and you left ahead of Brandon, and you left ahead of Jeremy. He's been tough, and you had the consistency, 88 in the first round, 85 in the second round. And that was challenging out there in tricky track conditions.
Yeah. Like I said, Frank's been working on this deal, and he's been tweaking it a little bit at a time. And it's just, starting to get a good handle on it.
Now, Larry Morgan was hanging around with you guys a little bit. How was Larry to work with? And it seemed like he was able to offer some assistance.
Yes. No, it's great working with Larry. He's very very knowledgeable with the chassis, and he gave us a big help also. He was a big hand in all this, so we got to give him credit also. So he helped out a lot with the car.
Well, we were talking with Alan Reinhart a little bit earlier, and the fact is, like, as great as Frank is with the tune-up on one of these alcohol-burning engines, he always ran solid suspension cars for his whole life, and so it would make sense every now and again. The suspension would you need a little assist here and there.
Yes, also especially since we switched over to the converter, it kind of gave us a little bit of a curveball. But both of them working together, we seem to have that behind us right now.
That is great news. Semifinal, you got to go up against Mike Janis, who is the defending champion of the series, who is also the most recent race winner. And so to be able to go through him would have been a huge statement, and you were able to do it.
Yeah, Mike's a great racer. He's the world champion. You can't put anything past him. They're top running, and they're our teammates. So we knew it was going to be a tough race. Frank did whatever he thought would work in the car, and really there was no lose in that particular race because either way, an AAP car was going into the finals. So it wasn't a lose for our team. It was a win. It just, which one was going to go to the finals.
And in the final round, you're going up against Jose Gonzalez. And Jose, a turbo car, very quick, very fast. He left early, 3 thou. Did you know? I'm sure you saw a lot of that orange car jump out there on you.
Well, at first, no. He did jump out a little bit. He red lit, but the blower cars, we seem to 60 foot a little bit quicker than them. So I really didn't notice him. I kind of thought I was ahead of him a little bit by the 330. But then, the big speed with them turbos, I start seeing him pulling in front of me around the 8th mile, I'm guessing it was about. And I was like, oh, shoot, there we go. Then I looked up and I saw the wind light in my lane. I didn't catch that right away. So I didn't know until he passed me, and I look up at the, and I see my light on. So I knew that at that point, I knew he red lit. So I was pretty happy after that. Before I even hit the finish line, I was happy.
Well, you had to be. It's so pro-modified to start the season with 3 DNQs and then win a race.
Yeah, no, these things can humble you just as fast as they can put you on the top. And that's just part of it with these cars. It's you grade one weekend, and then you can suck the next weekend. But, we're just looking at to try that happy medium and be consistent at it and just hopefully repeat more this year.
Well, exactly. Now, let me ask you your opinion on, we've been making a lot of, because the more I become aware and understand, the more I try to relay it, this rivalry that is Al-Anabi Performance versus Bahrain 1. They're both fielding, these are guys from the Middle East, they love this stuff, and they're both fielding a lot of cars and employing a lot of people to, beat on each other. What is your perspective of being in the middle of it? What is your perspective of it?
I go out to race and have a good time. What happens on the sideline, whatever they think, that's all. everybody's own opinion. You know, we just go out there and do our own thing, and hopefully we come out on top.
That is very cool. Doing a great job of it, obviously, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it won't be long till you're back in action, and the season really rolling right now.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Virginia. You know, we're coming into it with a lot of momentum, and just hopefully we can carry it over.
Think you can rattle off a couple of wins here? I mean, it's to climb back up into the points where I know you want to be. It's going to need you're going to need a couple of race wins.
Yeah, definitely are. But, you know, and the competition is so tough. So, you know, we really need to make some big strides, and the cars that are out front are going to have to stumble a little bit, which is probably going to be a tough thing. So we'll just give it our best and go out there and do what we do.
No, I understand, and I appreciate it. Mike, I appreciate you coming on WFO Radio. We'll see you out there in Virginia. Great job. Very cool to see you and Frank back in the winner's circle again. And as you know, you guys both have a huge fan base, and it's a lot of fun to watch. But thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on the win.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Castellana with us here on WFO Radio. Now, first of all, I want to let everyone know I feel badly that we did not connect with Mike Janis last week. Last week we were on and have been on so often lately an extreme time crunch situation. And you may recall we did like a 3-hour show last week, and I just ran out of time, and I did not connect with Mike. We got Mountain Motor Pro Stock, and I'm feeling like, man, I got to feature these guys. They're new. If I don't, someone's going to call me out. Like, why don't you? Just like the guy on our Facebook page who's like, how come they get a mini trophy? And there's just so much negativity out there from time to time. But I messed up on the Mike Janis thing, and we're gonna get him back. You know, maybe next week before Richmond, just to get in for his win. But it happens from time to time. Today, reached out to Mike Castellana and was able to lock him down. Pretty cool stuff. Larry Morgan working on the car. Frank Manzo doing a great job. All kinds of fun stuff. We got a new Factory Stock podcast coming up as well. But now on to my time. First of all, man, I miss Pro Stock. And I feel like, I don't know, Pro Stock is its own unique thing. And we have learned more about it in the past few races than we have previously. And it all comes down to this. Mountain Motor Pro Stock, Pro Modified, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Alcohol Funny Car, Top Alcohol Dragster are all the same. They all make way more power than they could ever use and have to manage it getting it to the racetrack. That's those classes. And they're very well represented, and we like them, and they're fun, and they're beasts, and they're hard to drive, but they are these insane machines that make way too much power. Because now in our modern culture and society with technology, we can build giant engines, and they live and they're huge and they make a lot of power. That's great. Pro Stock is very different. It's a development category. It's you don't have enough power. You never have enough power. You never can use all your power to the best of your ability. And that's why you're, number one, constantly searching for more power. And two, trying to constantly figure out how to use the power you do have more efficiently. Now, those things may happen in the other categories. Don't get me wrong. But not to the way that they're utilized in Pro Stock. I just feel like the modern fan maybe doesn't understand that fact. Or maybe they don't care. And that's what we're finding. Or, I don't know. But I have missed 500 cubic inch Pro Stock. I hate that I even have to say that now. Pro Stock used to be Pro Stock. Now it's 500 cubic inch Pro Stock. And it's just interesting. I saw an article in Hot Rod. They're like, yeah, this is the thing. And it's like, is it? I don't know, man. I don't know. I definitely like the new racers, and they're wonderful people, and the cars are cool. And I like 220 miles an hour. But I like the development race. I like the battle to be the best from top to bottom. And I think that Pro Stock is the class that is the most obvious. So when we go to Richmond, I'm going to be very thrilled to get back on track with Pro Stock, and I think that's when we see, how badly they were missed. Because when you're gone, When you're back, people either, oh, man, you're back, or they're just like, treat you like you're still gone. And that's when we'll know. But I'm eager to have Pro Stock back. As much as everything else is cool, and I don't want anybody to think I'm diminishing anything, but it's a different show. Pro Stock's a different show. And why does it have to be one or the other? But this 3 races in a row now without Pro Stock, like that's, I don't know. I think I'd rather them space them out a little bit, the races without Pro Stock, instead of front-loading them at the start of the season. But I digress. So here's what's happening for me and why we're, hustling through the program this week. Not that we hustle through anything on WFO, and hopefully you are all subscribed. But I'm headed to Washington, D.C. on the off weekend. Heading up there to go to the United States Marine Corps Museum at Quantico with my father and my mother. My dad and mom, they rarely travel with me together anywhere. And so I convinced them we got to do something, right? And this is it. What do you want to do, Dad? And Dad's like, man, I'd love to go to Washington, D.C., to the Marine Corps Museum at Quantico. And my mom is like, whatever. I'll go with you guys. My mom is the best. But anyway, so we're going up to D.C. We're going to the Marine Corps Museum at Quantico. We're going to spend as much time as we can there. Then we're going to our nation's capital. We're going to go get a tour of the Capitol, and which is awesome for me. I love that. Now, this is going to be my third or fourth Capitol tour because I'm very fortunate. I have friends that work in the Capitol who, meaning D.C., who, they do this kind of thing. And then going to the Marine Barracks at 8th and I on Friday night to watch the Sunset Parade. So this is going to be a really cool trip, probably the coolest thing I've done since we went to Parris Island a few years ago for the drill instructor reunion. And I'm going to be thrilled to do it. Obviously, the thing about Washington, D.C. is on the negative end of just about every comment from every American. They hate Washington, D.C., except at the same time, it's the capital of our country and the capital of the world. So it's like this really weird dichotomy, right? Do you love D.C. or do you hate D.C.? And everybody says they hate D.C., but I love D.C. because that's where it comes from, the leadership of our country, like it or not. And so I choose to love it. And I am looking forward to it. Plus, I got friends up there. We're going to have a good time. And I'll be reporting back. I'll be doing some social media. So you're going to want to follow me at WFO Joe, either on Twitter or on Instagram. And I will be posting a lot. It will be some out-of-the-ordinary stuff, not just race cars. And, pics of me and Killer Mike. Yeah, I wanted to get Killer Mike on the show, man. It didn't work out, right? Just early in the week, and we could not connect, which is too bad. But Killer Mike was really cool. He is a drag racing fan. He loves the sport. And that's all. That's all it takes. Was out there enjoying it. Also, the guys from Ozark. Fantastic. They loved it. And that's it. Meeting so many nice people. But what you got to do is you got to make them from a casual check out the sport to the type of person who's out there on a regular basis. And that's what we're working on in all of these situations. But thanks to everybody who said what's up and hello out there in the ATL. A lot of folks, track walk, say WFO. Thank you for doing that. And if you are out there and you're thinking, maybe I'll go to an NHRA race or haven't been for many years, like Alan said, you should go. Simple as that. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time. And Ignition is in the archive. We've got new stuff for the Patreons up. Some deep thoughts about various things. And we'll be back next week with a new WFO, also Factory Stock Podcast. Bill Skillman's interview was fantastic. Next week, we're already working on some new guests. Should be very, very cool. Thanks, everybody. Hit that archive, WFO.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO radio.
Oh, yeah.